This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites, like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies, like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee for your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales. And we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/trial and get started.
This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you if people send you the same generic conversation starters they message everyone else? Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.
This episode brought to you by the following patrons: Leaf Girl, Min, Sex Caliber Bones a Lot, Madeline, Alyssa, Vixen, Holly, Natasha, Laura, Jeremy with the laser eyes, Allie, Logan, Libby, Aaron, Kristen, Amy, Tia, Jonathan, and Isaac. And all the patrons want you to know you're loved, you're listened to, and you're a valuable member of this awesome Horror Virgin community. And if you want to hang out with us, do so in the Facebook group where we'll be hanging out daily.
Record, dun 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 dun. The pod, dun 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 dun.
Go ahead and record.
Bow, 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 bow. Record. Ba, 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 ba. Do, do, do,
the only thing about Law and Order that started getting on my nerves was I know enough actors that it got to the point where if you recognize the person, they did it.
Yeah, yes. The one exception was the lead singer of Fall Out Boy was on an episode, and he was the red herring instead. So when you saw him early in the episode, you're like, it's too early. He didn't do it.
Yeah.
We had a weird thing where, because I also watch Law and Order Organized Crime. There was a guy that was on Law and Order Organized Crime, and then we watched a movie on Romancing the Pod where he was playing a high schooler. And I could not, and they were made at the same time. And I was like, I can't.
I mean, to be fair, if you go back and watch Murder, She Wrote, they did that on there too. When I was a kid, I didn't know those actors because they were from the 60s and 70s or whatever. So,
but now Tippi Hedren, she definitely did it.
She's the killer.
Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin. I'm Paige.
And I'm your Horror Virgin Todd, which means I don't like scary movies and you guys make me watch them. But because this is one of our high holidays,
yes,
Friday the 13th,
correct,
we had to get our resident expert in Friday the 13th on, Jonathan Watkns from CinemaSins.
Hello. I want that to be on my tombstone, the resident Friday the 13th Theanin.
Yes.
John Cocktoaston.
If you can figure out how to spell it, I'll chisel it.
Yeah.
John Cocktoaston? Is that what he says? Something like that? Isn't that what he says in Fletch?
John Cocktoaston. Yeah, that's in Fletch for sure. I grew up on that movie. So, speaking of movies I did not grow up on, was this the first time you guys saw Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday?
Yeah.
Except not, because there are movies after.
Thought that was interesting. New Line takes over the franchise and calls their first entry the Final Friday.
Final Friday.
Yeah. They had a lot of faith in it.
The sadness in your voice when you said, yeah, was astounding to me, Jonathan.
Oh.
This was also my first time. Paige, was it yours?
This was because I had forgotten that this one existed, and so whenever I do rewatches, I skip from Manhattan to X. And honestly, you don't miss much.
I saw this in the theater. I think, was that 93? I was 17.
You saw it in theaters?
I was excited about this. So we can talk about that later or now or
no,
whatever.
Talk about it now. Why? How are you excited about this?
Because I was like, this was my first Friday the 13th where like I could go to the theater, myself. I could drive myself. I don't know. It was just, I was closer to being an adult.
And it's rated R, but you could get in.
I still wasn't old enough technically because we're 18 here, but I was able to get in. But I was reading Fangoria at the time too, and they did a lot of coverage on this, obviously. And it was exciting because they were like, this is going to be new and different. And Adam Marcus was like, talking it up and talking about all the stuff that was going to happen in it. And then I went and saw it, and
And here we all are in our very first support group meeting about a movie with the audacity to say Jason goes to hell and then spends 0 time in hell.
Yeah.
Just like Manhattan.
I know. I feel like they got shit because they only shot in Manhattan for like 45 minutes and only shows up on screen for 30 seconds.
And they didn't shoot in hell at all in this
I
one.
know. Not one of them shot a scene in hell. Because if this movie had been like that Robert Redford movie where he says no lines of dialogue as he fixes his boat before the boat sinks, but Jason battling his way out of hell, just like no dialogue, just like crazy killing demons and fucking the devil himself to get out of hell, better movie than this.
Oh, 100%. Well, we'll cover a little bit in fun facts because this is actually the result of half a movie, half reshoots, and half whatever stock footage they could find to cobble it together, half ADR to make those scenes make sense. And we'll talk about it in the end. But do you want to hear my theory, Todd? Because I had a theory halfway through the movie before I dug into fun facts.
Hang on, Paige. I'm all of a sudden hyper concerned based upon what you just said that you're going to tell me that this was just like a Lifetime movie about a guy who kills his wife's affair partner after he goes insane. And then someone was like, I love that script, but let's get Jason Voorhees in the mix. And then they rewrote it to this.
No. This was always intended, but
Oof.
Adam Marcus this is his first big feature.
His only.
Really? He didn't work again after this?
No. Well, and part of the reason that what happened is because he didn't realize you had to watch the dailies.
Yeah, that's true. It's crazy. He seems like the nicest guy on the face of the earth, too.
Sure, yeah. And for those of you who've never made a movie or tried to make a movie, the dailies are the things that you shoot. You watch whatever you shot that day, you watch it back to make sure that you got everything you need to get before you move on, and to make sure that it's usable so that you don't have to do as many reshoots. I mean, inevitably, almost every film has some reshoots and pickups, but you want it to be as minimal as possible.
Yeah.
We will talk about it more at length in fun facts, but about 50 plus minutes of this is reshoots.
What?
Which is a lot. It's a lot of
Holy
reshoots.
That's like the movie. The movie's 80 minutes.
Was it by him, though? Did he do the reshoots?
No, completely different director.
So someone else shot the majority of this movie then?
Yes.
50 minutes out of an 80-minute movie? And this movie isn't 80 minutes because like the opening scene is like someone just changing a light bulb and like shit you would cut out.
It's technically 89 minutes.
Oh,
However,
me.
most of that is credits.
Yeah.
But 43 minutes of his original footage survives, I believe is what the number was.
Okay.
Which is less than half.
Yeah.
But before I got into that, before I dug into the lore, my theory was that this was originally written to be an Evil Dead sequel and then had to be changed to be a Friday the 13th film.
I mean, we do have like a heart gremlin that has sex with a dead lady and then Jason pops out fully clothed.
And everyone's barfing up the black stuff. Everyone's jumping body to body. It's very much more of a Deadite than a Jason.
I can definitely see that.
People are getting shaved.
People are getting shaved.
Yes.
Maybe my favorite what the fuck scene ever in a Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
At first I was like, wait, did Jason take someone to torture them? That would be so weird. Like, that's so, like, not his style, right?
It was like, I want to jump in this guy, but I need him to be clean shaved.
Yeah, I'm just not a beard person. If we're going to make out, I want to have a
He's
say.
like Bill Paxton in Near Dark. I hate beards.
I was like honestly really relieved when it was like revealed that he was shaving him. I was like,
Yeah.
I am more mad that he brought someone home to kill them and torture them because that's so opposite of what Jason is. So when he was shaving him, I was like, okay, that's weird, but I'm like sort of all right with that, I guess.
Yeah, they kind of bring the torture stuff back in the reboot remake thing, which I guess we'll talk about eventually.
Oh, is that something that Jason has done in the past?
No, never in the past.
Okay.
I mean, unless like in part 3, supposedly he might have raped that the final girl in that one. But I don't. That's still so bizarre. I have no idea.
Yeah, well, and it's not on the screen. It's just implied.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but for me, I was like, okay, so we've got body jumping. The Necronomicon is literally on the table. They flip through it.
I know, right? It is.
Yeah, there's jumping. There's a weird demon-looking thing that goes inside a lady's dead body, very Evil Dead. And I was like, if someone was trying to write an Evil Dead sequel and then we're like, crap, I guess Control F Jason, then this movie actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's not good still, but it makes sense. It like Bruce Campbell would have been Creighton. Like,
yes.
you can think your way through it and be like, I could see where this is or was.
Or like part of Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. Like this, some of this would have fit in that.
Yeah.
Have you guys covered The Hidden from, I think, 1987?
No.
This rips that off quite a bit too. The whole jumping bodies and stuff is very much a hidden thing.
It rips a lot of stuff off.
Yeah, it does. I don't think Marcus had a single original idea.
No. Well, and even the thing that jumps out of that guy's neck, I was like, that's half the thing, half face hugger.
Yeah.
It was a little gremlin heart that I do think got sucked up into that lady's dead vagina. Like, that's like how that happened, right?
Well,
okay.
Yes. But if Marcus wrote the line, well, that makes me think of a little girl in a pink dress sticking a hot dog through a donut, that's brilliant.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe the best line ever delivered in a Friday. This actually has, like, I know we haven't started talking about what the movie's about. We're just like, this is our opinion.
Sure.
But this actually has, like, probably the most accomplished cast. They're all TV people.
Right.
But which kind of gives it, when you said Lifetime movie, that's kind of what this feels like a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah, it does feel like
because
that.
you've got, like, Aaron Gray from Silver Spoons and Stephen Williams from 21 Jump Street, Allison Smith from Kate and Alley, Leslie Jordan, who eventually would be like on Will and Grace.
Leslie Jordan's great, yeah.
And then like John D. LeMay, which really confused me at the time because I was also watching Friday the 13th, the series, and he's on that as a different person, obviously, because that has nothing to do with the Friday the 13th movies.
Because why would it, guys? Why would it at all?
Why would
it? It was a Canadian show called like Cursed Items or something, and when they brought it over here, they just changed it to Friday the 13th.
What's that about?
What's that about, indeed? At one point in my notes, I just wrote, is this a school play? Because
it does sort of feel like a high school production.
Or like a fan film.
Except, like, the fan films of Friday the 13th are great. Like, when we run out of Friday the 13th, I want us to watch Never Hike Alone at minimum, and I think there's a sequel to it, but the first one, at least, is really good.
Paige, Jonathan didn't say it was, like, a good fan film.
Sure. That's fair.
I'll be honest. This is probably, I go back and forth between a few, but this is very much in that worst Friday the 13th. I get why people enjoy it, and I do like how weird it gets. Like, I like that it's not afraid to get weird. I like that aspect of it, but it doesn't really work as a movie. Like, it just doesn't, it just doesn't work.
If you think it's an Evil Dead movie, then it works great.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Paige. I fully came in like, I don't know, it's wacky and fun, but is it a good movie? Probably not. And then when you said the Evil Dead stuff, I was like, oh, that's why I found it wacky and fun, because I actually enjoyed watching it.
Sure.
It wasn't at all scary. It's like a silly, campy movie that's like great.
Just give me more deadite screams and laughing, and it's an Evil Dead movie. A lot more blood, more chainsaws. Evil Dead movie.
But I liked it, though, because of that. But I wasn't thinking in terms of Evil Dead, even though I did write, oh my God, why is the Necronomicon here? And then, of course, the Freddy hand at the very end grabbing the mask.
They had to get the rights for that, too, didn't they, or something?
They did. And it would still probably be, if memory serves, at least another 10 years before Freddy versus Jason even happens. Because there's
it's 10.
And then we just watched the Freddy one where people thought the next one would be Freddy versus Jason. Mm-hmm. There's actually, I'll burn this one fun fact because I found it really hilarious.
Do it.
Early drafts of this, because this is the only one of these in the 90s. And once the rights kind of came over to New Line, they spent a little while in pre-production. So while they were in pre-production, the original idea for this movie was that Jason would go to Los Angeles and fight rival gangs. And the main reason they could not do that is because Predator 2 came out and basically did that movie.
Well, thank God.
Thank God, because Predator 2, classic.
Yes.
See, that Predator 2 is like really goofy, sleazy fun.
Yes.
That this movie
yes.
wants to be.
Yes.
Somebody packs a bullet wound with cocaine in Predator 2.
They smash cocaine into their chest and then sniff it off their own hand, and it's great.
There's so much sweat in that movie.
So much.
Like, that is sweatier than a porn. It is unbelievable how much people sweat in that movie. Like, Danny Glover has sweat pits like the entire movie.
The entire film.
I know. I agree, Jonathan. It's almost enough.
Yeah, considering how hot our summer's been, I watched that movie and I was like, this does feel like Los Angeles.
It was 100 degrees the past 2 days. I got home from like Connecticut and New Jersey where it was still warm, but it was like mid 80s, right? I fly home 100 degrees. It was like punishing.
It was it was like 105 to 108 for the last couple weeks.
Yeah, she's in California. We're complaining about heat.
I know.
The only bonus you guys have is you can go in the shade and it actually cools down.
Yes.
That doesn't really work here because of the humidity.
Yeah, it's a very humid heat here. I literally got a note from my air conditioning and I've been notified that they're unionizing. Like, they are over it. It's working overtime. It wants easier conditions to work under. And I'm trying to tell them, like, listen, I am not the head of the sun. I can't tell it what to do.
Yeah. Who are you going to trust? Anyway, should we dig into this crazy movie? Because there's so much to talk about. There is
too much to talk about. Sure. Yeah. Let's just go through it scene by scene. Because
this is one of those episodes that could be twice the length of the movie itself.
This is going to be right at the beginning, but he mentioned the Julie Michaels changing the light bulb.
Yes.
She has my favorite credit ever. Her character's name is Elizabeth Marcus FBI. That's like in the credit. That's like in the cast.
Elizabeth Marcus FBI.
Yeah. Like it's a TV show.
Yeah, she like gave her business card when they asked for her name.
Here's what blows my mind though, because the coroner, who is like the first Jason body double, has a name. His name is Phil. In the credits, he's just coroner.
That's still better though when they had the black counselors in Friday the 13th Part 2, and I think they're literally credited as black counselors.
Oh, wow.
We might have talked about
Here's
that.
another. I will burn another fun fact. There's a lot of fun facts, so we have plenty to burn.
Oh, I'm sure.
The actor who plays Phil, the coroner, originally auditioned to play Creighton and didn't get it.
I could see that.
Right? But there was another actor who auditioned to play Creighton and the coroner and didn't get either. Any guesses as to who it was?
Like Damon Wayans? Or no, he would have been too popular at the time.
Think more serious and would definitely have made this movie more awesome.
Like Lawrence Fishburne?
No, but that would have been a great choice, but no.
I assume it's somebody that got bigger
Honestly,
after this.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to think. Who would, like Mekhi Phifer? Or
I'll say 2 years later, I think it's about 2 years later, this actor gets their horror movie, and it's a fucking classic.
Oh, Tony Todd?
It was Tony Todd. Yeah.
I know I'm wrong because you guys just answered it, but Sidney Poitier would have been great in this.
He would have been amazing.
But we also would have known he would have been the murderer on Murder, She Wrote, is all I'm saying. Like, he's from that generation.
Immediately. But can you imagine Tony Todd as Creighton?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been fucking incredible.
I wish there was more Creighton. I mean...
Me too. I wish
Yeah.
One of the cut storylines is his backstory.
Yeah. And Stephen Williams is having a blast, you can tell.
Yes.
So.
He's having the most fun, and I love it.
But the coroner is Richard Gant. That's I think that's his name.
Yes, it is his name.
I always remember him as he was basically like the rip-off Don King in Rocky V.
Yes.
He was Tommy the Gun's manager.
Todd has not watched any Rocky films, and Mikey
sorry.
and I have been trying to talk him into it for years. We specifically want him to watch Rocky IV.
Oh, Rocky IV is the best, yes.
Yeah.
You know what? I just decided to watch all of the Rockies because of something Jonathan just said, and that was that there was a character named Tommy Gunn.
Oh, that's not even the craziest one.
I didn't realize it was like a
not at
Dick
all.
Tracy movie. Let's go.
That guy was a real boxer, though.
Yeah, I think
And funny, weird story, in the late 90s, I was one on the local TV station in Murfreesboro reviewing movies. That actor, I think Tommy Maddox might be his name. I can't remember the boxer's name, but he got contracted with AIDS, and he actually did like a benefit get together at the Planet Hollywood in Nashville.
Oh, yeah?
And I was actually at that. So I've met that dude.
Nice.
I was press at that event.
Yeah.
Like in 97.
I'm a Rocky fangirl, and I love the Creed movies. I think they're some of the best
Creed's
sports
great.
movies that are ever made. And you got to watch through Rocky to get to the Creed movies, though. So,
well, Creed 2 is Rocky 4 Part 2, basically.
yes,
which is
and it's
awesome.
fucking awesome.
Yeah. We interviewed Dolph Lundgren for a movie he directed, and I've got him on audio somewhere on my computer saying, "I will break you." And we didn't ask him to do that. We were talking about the director's cut of Rocky 4, and he just started saying lines, and I was like, oh my God.
If he dies, he dies. Yeah.
Yeah, he did that one too, I think.
Must break you. Yeah, it's so fucking good, man.
I'm trying not to like fanboy out while he's talking to me and like giving me this serious answer about, playing that character. And I'm
with
just
Brigitte
like,
Nielsen behind him with the crazy sunglasses. It's fucking rad.
Todd's like, what the fuck is going on?
No, I get it. I wouldn't fanboy out about that, but I did fanboy out when I met Sidney Poitier.
I'm actually
I would
jealous of you.
definitely have
Guys,
fanboyed.
I have not met Sidney Poitier. It's called a callback. Get used to comedic premises.
But I would have fanboyed out if I had met him.
Me too.
Yeah, same. No, I'd be like, yeah, that's valid. I fangirled out when I met Carl Weathers.
I'd have lost it about that.
He was so nice. Apollo Creed is really nice. Was really nice. Oh.
Do you remember that SNL sketch where it was Carl Weathers like acting like saying he was running for some office and he said, "Vote for me because I'm in Predator"? Because that was around the time Schwarzenegger was at your governor.
Was our governor,
and
yes.
Jesse the Body Ventura was Minnesota's. And so Carl Weathers is like, "Vote for me for whatever. I was in Predator." It was just funny.
Honestly, would have.
There's 3 governors in Predator. 3 former governors in Predator.
If I ever met Carl Weathers, I would have just been like, "Hey, what happened to the hand from Happy Gilmore, and can I have it?"
Chubbs, you took his hand.
Wait, did Carl Weathers pass away?
Yeah.
But he did, right?
Recently.
Okay.
Yeah, I finally caught up with him.
That gator finally got him.
Yeah.
No, like this past year, and it was a real bummer because I met him just a few years ago, and he was super nice and very cool.
I've heard that. Yeah, you're like the 3rd or 4th person I know that's met him. He's supposed to be insanely cool.
He was very cool. I always loved him on Arrested Development too, where he's playing himself.
Oh yeah.
As a poor actor.
So funny.
Yeah.
Make good stew with these. Anyway, back to this movie that doesn't have Carl Weathers in it.
Elizabeth Marcus FBI is who we open on.
Elizabeth Marcus FBI.
She takes 3 minutes to drive up to a cabin, and then a minute to walk in, and then a minute to turn on a light, and then a minute to get a bulb change, and then a minute to get undressed. It's so long. They're like stretching out as much as they can because there's
not enough movie.
Story for this 89-minute movie.
There isn't.
I like that she gets out of the shower and when the lights go out, she's got clothes right there.
Yeah.
Instead of like throwing those on real quick, she just puts it. So now she's like stuck in a towel running through the woods. I know it's because it's a Friday the 13th movie, but
I also did love that she fully puts on shoes, though.
Yeah, she does put on shoes.
Yeah, she's not a dummy. She's in the FBI, guys. She might have been showering with shoes on.
Yeah.
This is a booby trap, literally. And I thought that was hilarious.
It reminded me of Final Girls where you have to flash to get the guy to show up.
Yes.
But also, I put in my notes, this reminds me of Scream 5, because there was that one kill in Scream 5 where it was like, the mirror, no. The ladder, no. The cabinet, no. The front door, no.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like the dumbest, oh, he's right behind you. And I was like, it could have been the whole time.
do we think that she was doing the shower thing to get him to come to her? Is that what we think that was supposed to?
Yes.
That kind of is the only thing that makes sense, which is so weird.
It does. I mean, it makes sense in the meta universe of that's what happens in these movies, to the point where when she runs and the lights hit, I was like, oh my God, is this one like a Scream where they were like filming a Jason movie? But then no, because essentially she runs out of the house, runs into the clearing, the lights go on, and then literally a full SWAT team is waiting for Jason.
Yes. Like a whole team.
The only like what I would call interesting idea this movie has is this.
Well, and then they literally explode him with a fucking missile. It's insane.
Yeah, Paige. It's FBI Team 7 or whatever, because there's like 7 dudes.
I know it's Kane Hodder playing him, but is that his voice like going, oh? It's like the weirdest voice.
I think it is because, in his autobiography, that's mostly just about him.
That's my favorite Paige moment, by the way, when you were like, I don't know, Kane Hodder's autobiography is like way too much about his life.
He is got an ego.
This is absolutely, because I want to say autobiography being mostly about him and having 20 toes was also a Friday the 13th. So on these episodes, I say my stupidest shit. I like save it up for Friday the 13th.
People that like this movie love that opening, and I think it's a great idea. I think it's almost ruined immediately though when when he gets killed, because those SWAT guys just start acting like frat bros, and they're just like giving each other high fives, and it's like whatever. It's like Adam Marcus's version of humor is not mine. So I was just like,
or anyone's.
You messed up this scene. Yeah,
I don't know. Like I do sort of love this movie. I'm definitely gonna watch it again.
I do find this movie hilarious, but unintentionally.
Yes, exactly. It feels like I'm looking into someone's dream they're embarrassed by.
I would love to watch this at like midnight with like 300 people in a theater.
Oh,
I think this would play awesomely.
I would do that tonight, and I haven't slept in days.
Yeah.
Yes.
But just sitting by yourself in the living room, it's kind of sad at times. It's just like,
I was just shouting to myself in my house as this was happening. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And then they like exploded Jason, and his head fell on the ground and his heart fell out. And I was like, what is happening? What is even happening? But then I sat there and I was like, wait, how did he get back from Manhattan? And I'll burn a fun fact. There was a comic book that actually detailed him coming from the toxic waste in Manhattan and walking back to Crystal Lake. And that's how the FBI like tracked him. And then there was a police task force, and Creighton was on it, but he was on it because back in the day when it was still at Camp Crystal Lake, he and his wife or girlfriend were canoeing on the lake, and then Jason jumped up and killed his wife, but Creighton lived, so he became a policeman, joined the task force, and that's how he ends up in this movie. You're welcome.
Are you talking about Duke the Bounty Hunter?
Yeah, because it does feel like we're supposed to know who he is. Like it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to know what his story is.
I just told you.
Paige, I know you just told me what the story was. I want to see it. Like, I want his movie.
Sure,
That's what I
yes,
meant.
absolutely, yes.
He, every now and then, he'll say something like they're working on, I don't think they are, but he'll say that like it's supposedly at like fan conventions and stuff. He'll be like, yeah, we're working on a Creighton Duke film. It's like, no, you're not. You're like 82.
No, but like, okay, fan cast your Creighton Duke film now, because it's probably not going to be him.
Sidney Poitier!
Well, actually, I'm going to feel bad if he's passed away, because I don't think he has, though.
Sidney Poitier?
Sidney Poitier?
Yeah, he passed away a while ago.
No. Stephen Williams.
Oh, no, I think Stephen Williams is still alive.
He is. He's 75. He's still around.
Yeah. But 75 as Creighton's a hard sell. So who are you casting as your young Creighton? Fan cast it.
I don't know. How old's Mekhi Phifer?
I got a weird pitch, but I like it.
Okay.
And I have a pitch for an actor and a turn that I want in the third act of the rewrite. Lakeith Stanfield.
Oh, yeah.
Would crush it.
I'm with you.
I was going to say John David Washington.
That would also be a great choice.
The twist at the end is when she brings the baby to the Voorhees house and he introduces himself. He introduces himself as Duke Voorhees. And they have to kill him together.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that we're going to get Duke's story of like him hunting Jason up to this point.
Oh, you mean like the story of where he got the magic knife, I'm assuming from David Bowie?
Spoiler, that's definitely the knife from Evil Dead. The handle is the spine and everything.
Oh, is it?
It looks very much like it.
Okay, I'll give you that, because the whole movie is a little Evil Dead-y.
Yes. I would love to see Mahershala Ali as Creighton.
Oh, yeah.
In like an Ash versus Evil Dead style series about Creighton and his journey to kill Jason.
I love that. Yes.
And my understanding about the whole Freddy versus Jason versus Ash was that Raimi was basically like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
They wrote a treatment for Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. I think you can still find it out there. I've read it.
Probably,
but the best thing about that was there was apparently going to be a scene where Ash confronts the jump roping girls.
Oh,
like in
yes.
The 1-2 Freddy's cover, and he like actually gets in a fight with them. That was like the best thing about it. I was like, God, now I wish they had done this.
Anyway, they blow up Jason with a missile, and then they turn him over to the coroner, and we get a cut between the autopsy and the credits, and this goes on for full ass 15 minutes. By the time the credits are done, we are 15 to 16 minutes into the runtime of the film.
They're trying to stretch out their runtime so much because they would normally just put all of these scenes that they're cutting in between the credits, they would put that and the credits over it.
Right.
And we would just go through the movie. But if they did that, that would make this movie probably 3 minutes shorter. Because it's like we get like a minute and a half scenes that then go back to credits.
Yeah.
And then like a minute. And then it goes back to credits. And you're like, what are we doing? This is too long. It's too long of a break between credits for you to go full black screen, nothing else.
We get to see well-known egotist Kane Hodder play a SWAT team member as well, so he can get killed by. But he doesn't. That would have been cool if he had actually been killed by Jason, but he's not killed. I mean, he's killed by Jason in that other guy's body. So
yeah,
like that's not the same.
Well, we'll get to it in a second. Some weird shit has to happen first.
Oh, I thought this was before the. No, you're right. That was after the. Yeah.
Because
that's 30 minutes into the movie.
It's 30 minutes into the movie. It's very, very jarring to cut back and forth. But eventually we finish the credits. The autopsy's happening. And he's looking at Jason's heart. And he's like, there's fatty deposits and black fluid. And I was like, fatty deposits? What's Jason eating?
Paige.
Yes.
I also have to point out, it's very subtle, but I found it extremely rude that they classified the autopsy tape exactly what they used to kill Jason, and that was C4.
Oh, yeah?
I thought that was very classless.
And also, if like you got to have C4 clearance to watch this, and if you don't,
exactly,
you in trouble, baby.
I was like, is Bootsy Collins doing this autopsy?
Oh, yeah. It's an autopsy photo. And you ain't supposed to be watching it, or you in trouble, baby. Like, that's how it sounds.
Ain't nothing but an autopsy, baby. That's a Bootsy Collins right there.
But it's the heart starts pumping, and he gets, like, hypnotized by the pumping heart, and then he just grabs it and eats it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
Oh, I thought he was doing some like Dothraki ritual, hoping his firstborn would be the stallion that mounts the world. Why would you eat a heart ever? This was so gross, Paige.
I think he got hypnotized by that ba-bump-a-bump-bump.
You know, now I finally get that Gwen Stefani song.
Yeah. I have no other explanations for you, Todd. I'm pretty sure he just watched it being like, and he's just like, delicious. And he eats that heart.
He does.
And at this point, I was like, what the fuck is happening? Because then he gets possessed by the demons and flare guns of Jason.
Yeah.
And now I guess he's Jason. But then he just continues with the autopsy. Like, he just chills out in there until the other guy comes in with pizza.
Well, everyone needs a break, Paige.
Which is so gross. Are you even allowed to eat food? I thought food would be contaminated in a place. Like, I don't know.
You certainly cannot bring your pizza to my autopsy. No. I know I'm dead because there's no way I'm doing the medical examiner part of that. But I don't want you eating pizza around pizza, is all I'm saying.
I don't think it's safe.
I don't think I want to eat pizza around a dead body. Like, I feel like the dead body would kind of put me off it.
Paige, if you bring pizza to a morgue, I'm going to assume you're doing it so you can pretend to mistakenly put a body part on your slice.
Yeah.
But that's like a cliched thing, though. The more guys always eating a sandwich or something, like in movies, you know.
Yeah, finger sandwiches.
Gross. Be like, how did this thigh meat get on my pizza?
I don't know. But that guy is like, yeah, fuck Jason Voorhees. I'm so glad he's fucking dead. And then Jason, in the body of the coroner, lifts him up and like awful waffles his face with that probe.
I mean, that's what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. But then we cut to a TV report that is basically exposition. That it feels very film school.
Oh, it is. It's a slow push in on what would just be exposition that you would read in a book to tell you. Like it's a repipe. He's repiping the Jason mythology, even though they're going to do whatever the fuck they want with the mythology moving forward.
Well, we'll get into that in fun facts, but he actually only repipes the mythology of the very first movie because according to the original director of this movie, the only thing that matters is the first movie, and he disregarded any information in 2 through 7 or 2 through 8. Is this 9? Yeah, this is 9. 2 through 8.
So is Mrs. Voorhees in this universe supposed to be like a witch?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's ever made clear as much as there's some sort of spell that's never explained that I guess maybe she is.
It's weird.
That would actually make sense.
But you're talking about like the hard case shit, whatever the Stephen Culp thing.
It is American Case File.
American Case File. And it looks like they filmed that like in my office or something. It's like the cheapest looking thing. And he's going to give Creighton Duke $500,000. Like, you don't have $500,000.
You don't even have a second wall for your studio, sir. You don't have $500,000.
You couldn't give him that pizza.
By the way, this is Stephen Culp, which is like, he's always the dude who's fucking the main dude's love interest at the beginning.
Yes.
Like, that's this guy. You've seen him in 1,000 things. And he nails a bad guy, you know, like the kind of like normal looking bad guy. He's so good at it.
And does he get slightly hotter the bloodier he gets initially? Yes.
Paige, I knew the second he had a black tongue down his mouth, you were going to suddenly find him attractive. And I will say they shoot him lower and his shoulders appear bigger because of that.
Very briefly, but then he gets very dead-eyed and it's not hot at all. But here's another thing in this scene. A, his name is Robert because they're definitely modeling him after Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries. 100%. Secondly, the interview with Creighton is filmed at the LA Reservoir, which is also where they filmed part of Leprechaun in the Hood.
Of course they
where
did.
they're just like walking back from the record company.
That's the first time you see Duke.
It's the same place.
That's the first time you see Creighton Duke.
Yes.
Because he's like walking by in a duster and a hat in like LA heat.
Well, he only agreed to do the movie if they'd let him dress as a cowboy. That's a real thing. That's really noted in fun facts. So.
Stop making me love this man anymore. He's amazing. That is the perfect note ever.
Yeah.
Why is he wearing a cowboy outfit? No reason. Why are you asking?
Because he's basically Billy Zane in Demon Knight.
Yes.
Are you talking about, is the reservoir like where you see like Grease and all that, like where they're...
Yeah, so it's the LA Viaduct. So we are largely a desert landscape.
Yeah.
And so we store water and stuff in a viaduct, but during the summer it's usually very dry. So yes.
That's when you guys take your T-birds and drive around and race. Yeah.
Well, until Daddy took it away.
Yeah, or if you're in the movie Drive, you go on a date to the like little park in there. But also huge portions of the city like are alongside it, so you can just kind of walk alongside it.
Oh, nice.
And depending on how full it is, either it looks like a river or it just looks kind of like a cement viaduct.
Wait, Paige, did you just say that they like have sidewalk where you could walk along it?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, at certain parts.
Then why did they film it like they're walking next to a fence in the woods so that they can walk by this, and there are sections where you can walk by it on a paved slab? That's insane.
Yeah.
That is an insane choice. Why would you do that?
There's bridges over it, Todd. Like it spans the whole city. Like there's a ton of places.
This movie is perfect. This director's a genius. I wish we could have given him $50 million to make a next movie because it would have been a nightmare.
Hey, when are you getting... I don't think I've talked to you since you got engaged, so congratulations.
Thank
when
you
is that
so
happening?
much.
Have you guys decided on a date or...
Bro, Natalie and I have been together for almost 6 years. And I wanted to marry her like 2 years in, but our dog like was paralyzed, like, and we had to do... It was a very expensive surgery, so like, whatever. We just put it off, got a house, and like, so, I don't know, I've always sort of considered her my wife, at least since around that time.
No, yeah, definitely.
So like, I say all that to say like, we were a little house poor for a while once we bought this place and didn't have the money to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got this new job, it allowed us to do that sort of stuff. So like, I immediately like, when I had enough money saved up, bought like the nicest ring I could afford. We went to the UK so I could propose in like this grand gesture kind of a way because she had waited forever, and we're eloping. Like we already knew that we were like when we were getting married before we got engaged.
Oh, so are you already technically married?
No. But we will be probably right before we go to elope, right? But we're going to consider that day that so October 16th is when it's happening.
Awesome.
We leave the 13th, we get back the 20th, but we're getting married the 16th. But we'll probably be married before, honestly, in the eyes of the state.
And you're already married. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like
my wife and I were already married when we got married. I mean,
been in love with this woman for a long time.
Yes.
It just, the finances didn't line up with the feelings. Yeah.
I was like there towards the beginning, I guess.
You were.
Because I don't remember his name, but he had left the podcast, I think, the first time I was on there.
Clint.
Yeah.
At Luke's house.
Yeah, so you were there. So that's funny. So like
I was going to say, Todd, do you want to share some information about why Clint left the podcast?
So I met Natalie through Clint.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. And I'm sorry.
Did you know that? Did I tell you that?
Yeah, you told me.
I thought we had that conversation. Okay. Although in my defense, just to put a button on that story, he broke up with her like 2 months before we started dating.
Yes, he did.
Oh, so Paige knew. Okay, I felt bad. I thought I just...
I know about
okay,
it.
good.
Paige knows more about me than I do.
Oh, I'm sure.
I knew. I met Todd right after it had happened.
Yeah.
So like,
Oh, wow. You guys have known each other. Oh, that's right, because you did the cult podcast. You did...
yeah.
Still does.
No, but I'm saying you guested on it, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
a long time ago. Yeah, but we met at Panic Fest.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to keep doing Panic Fest?
I want
Probably.
to. I love Panic
It's fun,
Fest.
right? I mean, it looks fun. Looks like you guys are having a blast.
It's so
I
fucking
love it.
fun.
I love the people. I love the organizer or organizers, but Tim, the main guy, is like so nice.
Yeah.
I was fucking devastated I couldn't go this year, but I didn't go this year because I was literally proposing to Natalie. Like we were in the UK.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's a reason to miss.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you guys want to get back to the movie?
Yes.
Wow, where are we?
I know where we are.
Oh, the aqueduct.
Yes. So they've interviewed Creighton in the viaduct. Meanwhile, Jason awful waffled that one guy, killed all those guards. We got the report. He's on a killing spree. And so Creighton is just like, the only thing that can kill him, I know it, but I won't tell anybody. And it's going to cost you $500,000.
I love that this movie starts off with like a Duke the Bounty Hunter and his price is $500,000 and he is going to hold the world ransom over it.
It's the Robert Shaw thing in Jaws.
It is Jaws. It's meant to be exactly Jaws. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you'll get the machete and mask and everything. You'll get the head, the tail, the fin, and everything.
Yeah, whatever he says.
It's the same.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah. But this is where he's like, okay, we're just going to do word association. When I say, Jason, what do you think of? And he just says, a little girl in a pink dress pushing a hot dog through a donut. And I was like,
What?
fuck?
What is happening? I like looked over at Natalie like it made me uncomfortable. I was like, oh, did we both hear that? Like, it was like being in the room at 14 and a sex scene happening and your parents are watching behind you. It felt like that.
I feel like that had to be improv because I don't think Marcus could have come up with that based on the rest of the script.
I'm pretty sure it was in the script.
That means someone wrote that line and was like,
oddly enough.
God damn it, I nailed it. Hey, Gus, sorry I called you so late. Let me read you this line I just wrote. Like, that is a line that when Gus hangs up, he then calls the police.
I mean, also, this is where we find out that they had caught Jason at Crystal Lake. Then they took him to Ohio.
Uh-huh.
Then he's going to go back to Crystal Lake, and he's making his way there now.
Which is in Jersey, right?
It is supposed to be in, I believe, either Jersey or upstate New York, but it is often filmed
Oh, yeah.
on the West Coast almost every time.
Like, I think after, like, part 2, right? They started filming it in L.A.
Yeah. But yeah, they mostly had filmed in LA with the exception of Manhattan.
Famously, Paige.
Famously. And there is a Crystal Lake, California, up by in Southern California in like the forest. So yeah, and they're back to filming in LA this time. But yeah, so Ohio, back to Crystal Lake. We cut to a waitress watching this news report and coming out to a Jason is Dead 2-for-1 burger sale.
Yes.
Where they're like making the burgers in the shape of the hockey mask. And honestly, I respect their commitment to a promotion.
The owner of this establishment must have interned at Area 51 because she knows how to turn tragedy into retail shopping, baby.
Absolutely.
Like tourist trap retail shopping.
And you know what? As someone who has been to the tourist traps around Area 51, they also had burger deals.
I was going to say, did they have like little saucer burgers or something like that?
Yeah,
you know?
they called it, they implied that it was alien meat burgers.
What? I would not want to eat alien.
It's definitely cow. But they're just like, alien burger? What's in it? You tell us. Like,
I'd be like, no, you tell me and be
I need to know what's in it.
Yeah.
like, but they are. If you're like, is it real alien meat? They're like, it's beef, jackass. Like, what?
Yeah.
We got this at Costco. They're frozen Costco burgers. Like, what's wrong with you?
I once had a waiter, when I asked what it was made of, he said, FDA, baby. Fucking don't ask.
That's fair.
I was like, this man gets a tip But this is the last time I'm coming to Dick's Last Resort.
It's like in, was that, Demolition Man, where he's like, do you see any cows down here? He's like eating the burger.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's why it's Taco Bell, baby.
That's why it's Taco Bell.
This came out the same year as Demolition Man.
1993?
Yep.
Man, that makes this look worse.
Man, the quality between them is vast. And honestly, I think I like them the same amount.
I don't know.
No.
Demolition
No.
Man is a
Come
fucking
on.
classic.
This movie is insanity.
Oh, it is. No, it is.
It is, but so is Demolition Man.
That's true.
Like,
I just think this movie has to be watched in the right environment for it to work, though.
Yeah.
I think you could watch Demolition Man whenever.
you gotta be high as fuck and
Yeah.
like covered in nachos for
or
this
with,
movie.
or with like an audience, or
Sure, yeah, in a
Why
theater,
can't
like
I
at
be high
midnight.
as fuck eating nachos with an audience and enjoying
Yeah, you
this
can do it all at
movie?
the same
You
time.
should. In California, you can, Todd. It's really nice.
Jonathan, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to California real quick because I certainly can't get high in Nashville, Tennessee.
I mean, you can.
kind
It's just
of.
not easy. Anyway, they're making burgers that look like him. And this waitress comes out and Creighton is there and he's like, I know who you are and you know who you are and you know that you're the only one that killed him. So you need to talk to Jessica right now. And I'm like, who the fuck are all these people? None of them were in any of the other movies. What is happening? Why can she kill Jason?
When Duke says to her, "You know what I want," I was like, I don't know what you want, and I'm watching the movie.
Is Aaron Gray supposed to be his sister?
Yes.
Jason's
yes,
sister. Okay.
Jason's sister.
So now it's kind of like also kind of Michael Myers-esque.
Yes.
And she's the Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Well, but only in certain Halloween movies, not in all of the Halloween movies.
Yeah.
I mean,
of
I
course.
understand that, like, in Halloween 3, Jamie Lee Curtis isn't in it, but, like, yeah, you knew what I meant.
No, but Jamie Lee Curtis is not his sister. Those are not the ones that canonically have her as his sister. She was his babysitter.
Well, the David Gordon Green ones.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Shit.
Yeah.
And that really makes no sense
Yeah.
that they're not brother and sister in those. It makes even less sense somehow in those that they're not brother and sister.
Well, and the only
whatever.
ones where they're siblings are the Rob Zombie ones, which we haven't done yet.
Well, yeah, and then the second one, like the original
Oh, that's
Halloween
right.
2.
That's right.
That's where you
That's
find
right.
out about it. That's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
Carpenter, who I think was high and was like trying to come up with a Luke, I'm your father
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, because the more recent ones are only sequels to the very first one, and they act like the second one doesn't exist. So the second is its own track now.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we'll get out the chart when we do the next one on our list this year, which I think is 5. Or did we already do 5? No, 5 is next, I think. No, we did do 5. I think it's 2.0 is next.
Well, I mean, after 5, it's Curse of Michael Myers, where they bring all the druid stuff into it.
That's 3.
No, but I'm saying, but the one with Michael Myers where they bring the druid
Oh,
stuff into
yeah.
it.
What?
Yeah.
There's like a whole Cult of Thorn.
That's the one we haven't done yet, is Cult of Thorn. Yeah, that's the one we
Paul
haven't done.
Rudd's first movie. Or the first movie he filmed. Clueless came out before it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll get to it. Anyway, this movie has given us no context. It is just like, you know, you're Jason's sister and figure some stuff out. And she's like, fine. But like, as she's talking, the sheriff comes up, and this sheriff is supposed to be her love interest, but is old enough to be her grandfather.
Paige, I wrote in my notes when she invited who we come to find out as like her son-in-law or like.
I thought they were just close in age because Erin Gray, I mean, is probably she's probably only like in her 40s, right?
I would say max, she's in her 40s. She looks mid-30s.
I thought she looked 30 and he looked 60. When she invited the guy who ends up being her daughter's like boyfriend / husband or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I thought she was inviting him over to cheat on her boyfriend who was the chief of police.
She's got a daughter that's definitely in her 20s, so I would
Yeah.
think she's supposed to be like maybe in her early 40s.
I get that in hindsight.
Yes.
In this first
Yeah.
scene, when I don't know that,
Oh, yeah,
I
you
thought
don't
she
know,
was 30
yeah.
and she was dating a 60-year-old police chief.
Well, and we don't meet her daughter yet. She just says daughter.
Yeah.
And so at first we're like, who is she? And then she's talking to Steven, who Steven is of indiscriminate age because in 80s, early 90s movie math, he could be anything from a high schooler to an adult. And so she's like, if you guys really want to work it out, meet at my house later. And so I'm like, okay, so is her high school daughter somewhere around?
Yeah, because he's wearing a Letterman's jacket, right?
He's wearing a Letterman's jacket the entire movie. Yeah.
Like, it would have made more sense if she was dating the son of the guy that's like working in the back. Like, that would have made more sense.
Yeah, the like other cook. Well, I mean,
yeah,
but he's like a teenager.
Oh, well, see, but he could have been teenager or 20s. Like,
he could have also been teenager or 20s. Yeah.
Does she have sex with the American case file guy, or was he just talking shit?
No, that was her daughter.
I know.
Yeah, they banged it out. Yeah, 100%.
This movie's insane. It's insane.
But that's LeMay's kid. That
right.
The baby is his. What was his name in the movie again?
Steven. He's Steven.
Oh, he is Steven, yeah.
No, that's his kid.
This might have been like my 5th time to watch it, but like I always think that she's like at first I feel like every time I think she's the baby's mother.
It would make more sense if she was, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, and also the woman playing the daughter is just so like she's not. I mean, it's not her fault. I mean, it's not like her character's written well, but like that character is just so doesn't like I forget about her immediately because she just doesn't really factor into a lot.
She's superfluous because like she's too close in age to the mom.
Yes,
that they don't look that different in age. Like maybe 10 years, but not enough for them to be mother and daughter. But then the only reason the daughter seems to even be there is to loop in the American case file guy, which, spoiler, we already know he's kind of a smarmy dude. He could just show up to town and romance the mom. And like through line completed. And the mom has the baby that she's got at work at the diner or whatever. We've seen it a million times, but like that makes more sense.
It does.
But it'd be maybe because they're playing with the fact that Jason is old. Like Jason is at this point in his like 40s or 50s that they're like, well, she would have to be in her 40s or 50s. So therefore.
And like, when does this movie take place in that timeline? Well, you're saying it's completely taken out the 2nd through the 8th film, right? So we're not in that timeline anymore. Okay.
I assumed it was 93.
Well, but we've talked about this on past episodes, like 1 through 8, like by the time you get to 8, if you do the math, it's like 2005.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
It's crazy.
Oh, my God.
So maybe this is supposed to be 93. I mean, I don't know.
I would assume because we aren't told anything else, right? And we're told that like he's been terrorizing X for X amount of time, but that would suggest that, he was like in his 40s. Anyway, none of it works. And it seems like he's just kind of peopling his town with fun characters regardless of ages.
Yeah.
Because we kind of meet everyone at the diner, which is Rusty Schwimmer, who plays the owner of the diner, who looks like a John Waters character in the middle of this movie.
It does. Yeah.
Is she related to David Schwimmer? I mean, maybe that is a common name. I don't know.
It is spelled the same. Let me pull it up. Fun fact, the two of them, Rusty Schwimmer and Leslie Jordan, improv'd all their dialogue.
That does not at all surprise me.
Yeah.
I liked them, though. Like, they were, like, kind of cute in a weird way. Like, there was that scene where he's just like, I love you so much.
No, it seems like no relation. But, yeah, same last name.
And they get horrible deaths. I mean, I guess everybody gets a horrible death, but...
Would you be surprised to find out that this is the second deep fried head we've had on this podcast?
No.
So true.
I mean...
Yeah, the other one, Paige.
Like Texas Chainsaw or something?
No,
that's
Blood
a good guess,
Diner.
though, but it was Blood Diner, yeah.
Oh.
It was Blood Diner, and in Blood Diner, when they deep fry her head, she comes up as a full hush puppy head.
That's the one about the Egyptian goddess gets resurrected by
Hail Sheetar, yes.
Yeah. I saw it was at one of the 12 Hours of Terror at Belcourt.
That's where Mikey saw it and then came back and forced us to watch it.
Oh, it's crazy.
Wait, didn't you guys go together?
No, I mean, we both went, but no, we didn't. He went with his brother. Then I was with a friend of mine, and then we'd hang out, but they always left like halfway through.
Yeah, tell me about it, right? I get it. Seems to be a pattern.
Anyway, so she tells Steven, meet at my house at 11. I don't know why she's not like, come talk to me right now. I'm a Voorhees. She's a Voorhees.
Yeah, like 11 too. I'd be like, no.
She's a working mom. She's a working grandma, guys. Like her shift ends at 11.
Well, and how does she know about the curse? Because it's implied that she knows, and then when she dies, she can't tell people, and that's why Creighton has to tell people later. But why does she know?
I don't even remember where the knife is. Does she have the knife?
No, Creighton Barrel has it.
Creighton has the knife.
It blows my mind that you're calling him Creighton and not Duke.
Well, because they don't even tell you it's Duke until later. It's Creighton Duke, and they say Creighton literally until halfway through the movie. So all my notes say Creighton until then.
I'm 100% sure it says Creighton Duke first because I was like, Duke, I'm writing that in shorter.
I also like how they just did they just take 2 colleges and like put them together? Is that all they did?
I think they must have. It's a cool ass sounding name.
It's very cool.
It's the most inventive thing in this movie.
Yeah.
So Steven leaves. He's going to come talk to her later. We cut to him driving and he picks up hitchhikers in Crystal Lake. Who does that?
Yeah.
Like, you know the history of the place. Come on.
And I get that, like, it was national news that that Jason Voorhees was killed.
Well, kind
right?
of in this one.
But it's also national news that there have been a shitload of other murders because we saw that in the same report. So, like, why are you hitchhiking at all, you idiots?
Yeah.
I didn't get it at all.
And he makes that super creepy joke and they like don't immediately like just jump out of the car. They're just like, oh,
no,
that was fun.
One of them 3 minutes later invites them to have sex and kisses him on the face.
I don't blame her though, man. I don't know why she agreed to come out there as a third wheel. I would never do that. Like, I'm going to stay home.
Well, Jonathan, you know what? You're not invited to the cookout then.
Were people in the past just way cooler about boning next to their friends?
Paige, I have a story from high school I'd like to tell you.
Well, yeah, it depends on the age. By the time, like, I was in my 20s and I had my own place, no. But, like, when you're in high school, I mean, you're just, wherever you have an opportunity, that's where it's going to happen. So,
Yeah,
I was once caught up in that. I'm going to say my first reluctant
I have
threesome.
some weird, yeah. I mean, I've been around some people, but by the time I was they have to be, like, I assume they're in their 20s.
They're in their 20s.
Definitely in their 20s, yes.
This whole sequence was added later.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
After the original cut, because the producers thought there wasn't enough sex in the movie compared to like other Friday the 13th movies, and they wanted to pad the kill count, but they couldn't kill any other characters.
By the way, did you guys watch the theatrical cut or did you watch the director's cut or the unrated cut?
Theatrical.
I watched the theatrical too. I have the unrated though. Have you seen that scene? Because that kill scene is a lot more graphic.
Is it? Because it's pretty graphic. Because he like stabs her through and then rips her in half upwards.
Well, then maybe you guys did watch the unrated cut. Because in the cut I watched,
maybe.
they cut away. Like you see her get stabbed and then it just cuts to her face.
Oh, no. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You see her get fully cut in half.
I've seen that too, but that's not what I watched. But
okay.
yeah.
You missed out because that shit was dope. It looked crazy good.
No, I've seen it. That's why I didn't watch the unrated cut.
Yeah.
I don't like that scene.
Yeah, I don't want to ever see it again, but they did a good job with it.
Yeah, no, it's a great effect.
The other thing too is, so first of all, those actors are nude, fully nude.
Yeah.
You can tell to the point where I was like, is this an unsimulated sex scene in this film? Because that does happen sometimes. And then I looked through fun facts to see if it was. And spoiler, no, but they were a real couple who broke up right before they had to film it.
Oh, no, Paige!
Well, maybe they're the best actors in this
Honestly,
movie.
I did buy their chemistry, so like, yeah.
I thought it was weird she was just wearing the flannel, though, because flannel on bare skin is not that comfy.
Oh, I love flannel on bearskin.
Why would you put flannel on bearskin?
Flannel sheets. Like, once flannel's worn in, it's really soft.
I do the same. What I do is I put on my bearskin rug and then put my flannel on.
There you go.
And it's just flannel on bearskin. And listen, everyone needs to layer up. It's going to get cold this fall.
It's too much.
I walk around all day in a towel and shoes. That's all I'm doing.
What are you, an FBI agent, Jonathan?
Yeah, my favorite show, Elizabeth Marcus, FBI.
Oh, God.
It's like Tootsie, but it's Jonathan playing Elizabeth Marcus or whatever, FBI.
Oh, God.
100% here for it.
Nobody wants to see that shower scene.
Disagree.
Maybe 20 years ago. Probably not, but maybe.
So he leaves them. They go skinny dipping off camera, and they come back and get naked again because they're just like, we got to show more boobs. And at this point, because part of the way that Jason gets the first, and by Jason, I mean Jason's spirit inside the body of the coroner. Way that he gets the first girl is that she goes into the forest to pee and then comes back. She has no toilet paper. She has no anything else. Mm-hmm. And just immediately puts her underwear back on. Mm-hmm. And at this point, I was like, I don't think that whoever is directing this understands how people with vaginas urinate and what that is like, because that would be really uncomfortable and all of your underwear and everything would smell like pee because it's still wet.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, weird. Well, maybe she doesn't have anything or whatever. But then the second girl does it too. And I'm like, I don't think this person knows how
I'm surprised they didn't say something like, look,
as
guys.
actresses were like, hey, is there like a roll of toilet paper or something? Like,
And he was like, no. And also, it only takes like 3 seconds to pee, right? So you're fine.
This isn't as bad, but like I also hate when people get out of a shower and immediately put like jeans on. That's like the
yeah.
Hey, hey,
terrible.
why are we attacking me all of a sudden? Like, guys.
I just like jeans on wet skin is not fun.
Don't threaten me with a good time. They call me sticky jeans, Jonathan.
Maybe other people's vaginas be less flappy than mine, but like I got to dry things off before clothing goes back on them.
Oh, yeah. I think Jonathan and I are both on board for the fact that this dude had no idea how women pee.
No idea.
I think like that's why I made a joke about how long it took. It makes it seem like he thinks it's like a cargo bay like bombing door that you just open and the pee falls out and then you walk away. Like it was that fast. It was insane. Nobody knows how to make a movie in this movie and I love it.
I think he was thinking about a penis where you kind of like shake it dry or whatever you guys do. And then you just go about your merry way. But that's like not the thing with us. But to watch it happen twice, I was like, damn.
Damn, this man's never met a lady.
Well, and then, okay, and here's why it bothered me more that they did it the second time, right? Because they did it the first time, whatever. She gets killed immediately.
Right.
Then we get into this tent sex.
Paige, I believe it's called a sextant. It's a navigation device. Yeah. I knew I'd get Jonathan with that. You fucking nerd. I love you.
It looked like they were having sex already in the tent earlier, but then they're like, are you ready to have sex? Let's get a condom.
That was weird. I gotta go get a condom.
What were you guys doing before? But then she goes out. She does her 3-minute pee, no wipe. Then comes back in with the condom that he's like, I don't want to do this. And then they proceed to continue to have sex.
Yeah. In the height of the AIDS epidemic, they're like, let's not do anything to show that like safe sex might protect you from Jason or something.
Well, and he's going to get her yeast infection from not wiping, so.
There it is. I was like, this is like not even necessarily a yeast infection, but more that like he's gonna
I don't know how stuff works.
Kind of covered in pee a little bit.
Yeah.
And probably be like, hell yeah, she's super wet. But that's like not what's happening at all.
Paige, maybe that's part of it for him. And like,
maybe that's part.
I
No
ain't
kink
gonna
shame.
judge it.
No kink shaming. But then they proceed to have, I would say, one of the most convincing sex scenes that for a second, I did wonder if it was unsimulated and if they were actually having sex on screen.
Yeah, like in an R-rated movie, it seems real. It's like Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin in The Getaway.
Yeah.
Hey, let me write that down because I definitely need to watch that movie. Hang on, sorry.
Yeah.
I have not seen that. I need to.
That's supposed, but they were married at the time. But yeah, supposedly they're actually doing it. I still don't know that I believe it, but
there's a number of movies where it's happening.
There are, yeah.
You know, and sometimes they do it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But so they do a shot down over his shoulder, down his body to where their like crotches meet, and I'm like, there's no
like nude clothing
nothing.
Or anything.
Like
yeah, no.
You're seeing both bush.
They had W and HW. That's too many bushes.
That's too many. Barbara's in the mix too. Anyway, this is where she gets stabbed through the tent and then sliced in half. And the scream is woof.
Oh yeah, this actually is the reason this movie's not a 1 for me. Like that stab and rip, it grossed me out. I'll just say it that way. I was like, ugh.
Yeah, it's gross.
You're gonna hate Terrifier.
Oh God, is he not? Oh,
he's never seen it.
I actually finally watched that. Yeah, you're gonna hate it. I did.
Some parts of it were fun. I get why people don't like it because I mostly didn't like it.
I get why people like it too. Like, and I get why art has become like a Freddy or a Jason. I get that, but it's not my bag for sure.
No. Anyway, we cut to Diane, Jason's sister, going to feed that dog out behind the diner alone because that's definitely what you should do while there's a murderer around.
Yeah.
Not enough people react like there's still a full-ass murderer going around. And I realize it's not Jason Voorhees.
Well, they're even saying on the news, he's on his way to Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
They keep saying that on the news. Like, and they're like celebrating at the diner and stuff. It's weird.
Yeah. The other part of it too. So the security guard drives up And he's like, you're safe, get to your car. And then he meets up with his girlfriend. And I was like, why is everyone in this town, full ass adults, acting like they have to sneak around like high schoolers? Like, what is happening? All of these people have homes where they could fuck anyone at any time in the privacy of their own home. What is happening?
Well, they're having an affair. Are you talking about Josh and the bowling lady? The lady who's like, Walter's at the bowling alley. We only have till 10:30.
Oh,
Is that
I
what you're
missed that it
talking
was
about?
Walter. I thought it was her bowling league and she was trying to get there to schedule. That makes much more sense.
No, Josh and that lady were having an affair.
Yeah.
That makes more sense now. I missed the Walter part and I was like, why is everybody sneaking around? Because like those 20-year-olds were probably old enough to at least own a van. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. So they're having an affair. And then Jason, that's not Jason, smashes her head in the car door. And we then cut to the Voorhees home where he has taken Josh, the security guard, shaves him.
Yeah.
And then, I guess, French kisses him?
Are you saying that because he shaved him with a straight razor first?
Well, no, just he shaved him with that straight razor, but then we see later that the way that they like get Jason inside you is like with the dead silence tongue. And so it's they French.
They do French. It's weird. I'm not a fan of it. Yeah.
It feels like we see the entire shave too. Like it seems like it goes on for like 10 minutes.
They're really stretching out the runtime in this 89-minute movie, question mark.
In fan circles, it's known as the homoerotic shaving scene.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I do think maybe we should have one of these in every movie. It's like, oh my God, who is Jason going to shave this movie?
Just like in Jackass, like early Jackass movies where they've got the like battery powered razors and they just come up and like get people from behind.
I just like the body he's in currently though is like just covered in muck and he's like, this guy's got to be clean shaven. I'm not going into this dude unless.
Oh, do you think that's why he did it? He was like, oh, the mustache under a mask? That's like a hat on a hat. I'm getting rid of the mustache first.
It tickles.
I don't even understand, like, when he looks in the mirror, you see Jason, or maybe that's later, but like...
Yeah, like a vampire.
What? Yes, it's so insane. It's like, why? None of it makes sense.
Why is he still in the hockey? Like, why wouldn't it just be Jason's face? I don't know. But anyways, I'm putting way too much thought into this.
Are you saying you would have preferred if the reflection had been a nude Jason Voorhees?
I'm saying, why wouldn't it have been?
I am on board for that.
You know Kane Hodder would have done it.
It's like in Halloween 5, actually, where they at the end, they've got Michael Myers in the prison cell with the mask on. It's like the dumbest thing.
Yeah, they didn't take the mask off of it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's like, no, this is part of him.
Warmer, sunnier days are coming. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for summer. Well, let's call it fall. Thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Guys, you can make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options, all while keeping kitchen time to a minimum. Factor's meals are ready to go in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. So head to factormeals.com/horrorvirgin50 and use code horrorvirgin50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code HorrorVirgin50 at factormeals.com/HorrorVirgin50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month's while your subscription's active.
Okay, want to know where to find brands on brands this fall? At Ross. They've got big savings on the latest fall styles. Seriously, you'll find the brands you want at prices you'll love. At Ross. Yes, for less.
Anyway. His sister, the waitress, gets home and calls her daughter. This is where we find out that her daughter is banging the guy from American Case File. And which I was like, convenient, but he's definitely just banging her to get close to her mom. Like, everyone knows that. Like, girl, come on. But she's like, well, I'll come see you another time. And she's like, have you seen Steven? And she's like, yeah, but I don't want to see him. he can see the baby, but like, I don't really want it. We're not getting back together.
Yeah, she's like, we're never, ever, ever getting back together.
But will you tell him he can see the baby?
Yeah. Can you hold the baby and then you put the baby in the suitcase, you leave the suitcase on a bench, and then he sits down and you switch suitcases and then he gets the baby and you get $10,000.
Is this the Lindbergh baby kidnapping? What are you describing right now?
A better movie.
Disagree, Paige. How dare you try and work a plot into this?
I wouldn't be surprised if they had continued down this line. Jason being involved in the Lindbergh baby kidnapping wouldn't shock me. So
I'm still here for Jason is secretly a deadite, and it's just, you know, we haven't acknowledged it, but that's why he's hard to kill. Anyway, so Josh has creeped into her house, slaps the phone out of her hand, which also, how long did that shaving take that she literally just got home and he almost beats her there? This happens 3 or 4 times in the movie where somebody leaves after someone else and then has been there for a while. Mm-hmm. Who's to say? It's like Mad Men Mars in that way. So he slaps the phone out of her hand. She looks in the reflection. Oh my God, it's Jason. She shoots him and she calls the sheriff, who will show up later. But as that's happening, he like grabs her leg and he's like holding her down and trying to put a tongue in her mouth. But Steven shows up, tackles him. And this drove me fucking nuts. There's a whole block of knives. He reaches, and at first you think he grabs a knife.
Nope.
He does not. He grabs the honing steel and stabs her with a honing steel that's not sharp.
I know, Paige. That's how strong he is. That's the reason he did it. It's not just a murder. It's a flex.
I guess.
I killed you with a spoon, more or less. 'Cause it's dull, you twit. It'll hurt more. That's why.
Oh, God. Anyway, so he stabs her with the honing steel. Steven stabs him with a knife because obviously, or no, Steven gets him with a fireplace poker. So even he didn't grab a knife. There's a whole block of knives there.
No one ever said men were smart, Paige.
I know. But as he's kind of on the ground, not dead, but like there, doesn't he push him out the window with the fire poker too? Yes. So he's dead outside.
Well, quote, dead outside. That's what he thinks.
Yeah.
Because he thinks, honestly, it's just Josh lost his mind, you know?
Right.
He's like, he got crazy after his affair with Barbara or whatever that lady's name was.
He's got the bowling sickness, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yes. But so on the floor with Diane, he's like, oh my God. And she's like, save Jessica. And he's like, from what? And she's like, too late. Dead. Immediately. And so the sheriff shows up and Steven's covered in blood and he's like, Josh did it. He's right out. Oh no, his body's gone. You can't think I did this. And they're like, process of elimination. Yes.
When he opens the window and looks outside and realizes that body isn't there, he immediately starts acting like the person who did it would act in that moment. He's like, oh, it's oh my God, the body's gone. Oh, you can't think it was me. Like,
and the sheriff's like, the sheriff's pissed because he's never going to find another 22-year-old to date him.
Yeah, never again.
My child bride.
It wasn't me. It was the one-armed man. Like that level of delusion. And yeah, he's sad about his young girlfriend. But he takes Steven in.
I hope no one defiles her corpse later.
Well, again, this is an Evil Dead movie, and I think the sooner we all get on board with that, the less weird it seems. So at the station, he's talking to the younger deputy.
Welcome back to Deputy, where we ask you 5 questions out of 5 categories related to police shootings. It got real dark. Joke got real dark, guys.
Anyway, so the deputy is like, hey, we know you didn't do it. We're going to figure it out. Don't worry about it. And he's like, you know, when Jessica gets here, we'll figure it out. Okay, great. So Jessica comes home. Someone's already cleaning the blood of an active crime scene. Yeah. Forensics has done nothing. They are not going to solve this case. And they're not even going to try. They're just going to blame Steven. But so she walks in on Vicky, who's cleaning the blood. And she's like, oh, the baby, is it yours? And I'm like, yo, it's with her. She didn't just grab one at the store. Like, I think that's a fair question if you're pushing one around to be like, is this yours? Like, it's yours, probably. Or at least the person you took it from hasn't caught up with you yet, or whatever. Anyway, she's like, okay, it's clearly Steven's baby. He's at the police station. And she's like, okay. And she's like, Vicky, you take this. I'm going to go to the station. And at this point, I was like, there's so many characters in this movie.
Yes.
This is like a George R.R. Martin book. And there's only 40 minutes left to wrap all of this up. And we don't know who most of these people are or why they matter at all yet.
My favorite part about this movie is there are no extras. Everyone has a first and last name, a character trait, something unique about them, and they've got plot points.
Yeah.
And that's like 12 people. And this movie is 89 minutes.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's Love Actually with Jason. It's too many stories.
It is. We cut back to the police station where she sees him, like, they're moving Steven, so she thinks that he did it, and she has to go answer questions, but Jason ends up in the cell next to Duke. How did Duke get in jail? We don't know.
Paige, I'm sure if we watched the dailies that they deemed too bad to use, we would have gotten a great Duke storyline.
Something happened after the diner incident, clearly.
Yes.
So
I honestly think they may have taken him in under suspicion for the pink dress comment.
Maybe.
Be like, just come to jail.
Make an appearance. But they do, however, waste a good 15 minutes on exposition that could have been 2 minutes by breaking multiple of Steven's fingers, making it very difficult for him to fire a gun later, except nope, he does it fine.
Paige, they don't break fingers. All he is doing, the price he has to pay for this information. This whole thing felt so strange to me because
it wasn't even very good information. We already knew some of it. So
yeah.
it was like, what are we doing?
It's like, in order for you to get this information, I have to hurt you because then it will make you remember. Like, I don't even know his motivation for popping his knuckles. He's not even breaking his finger. He's just like popping his knuckles.
He's supposed to be breaking his fingers, in theory. That's what's supposed to be happening on screen.
Sure, but he's full ass using his fingers later in the same scene, so no.
Oh, I know. I'm aware it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Like, but what they're telling us on the screen is that he broke his fingers.
Yeah.
But you're right, Jonathan. It is for like some stuff we already, like, he's like, you got to pay a price, snap. And it does sound like he breaks his finger, even though it's fine. But like the first thing is more or less like, you're like the same character, or like Jason's the same character as Michael.
Yeah.
Do you want any more information? Because you've got 4 more fingers and I've got some low hanging fruit here I got to give you.
Yeah. And spoiler, he needs to jump body to body, which has never been a part of the Jason mythology.
No.
And it's weird that they're introducing it now.
We also don't know how Duke learned this.
Right. Or why this is the case with Jason, but never was before.
Well, and if part 2 through 8 don't exist, then how do they know about Jason?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
because Jason doesn't really come into play until part 2 anyway, because the first one's Pamela.
Oh, yeah. Jason isn't a murderer.
Yeah.
Jason's just a dead child come back to life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which that doesn't happen until the end of the first one. So like, wait, so in this movie's mind, this comes after the first one and there's no other movies?
Yes, but and that's what they've said, but they have to be including some of 2 because 2 is where Jason actually kills people.
I was going to say, so Jason's first murder happens after the FBI kills him?
What? No.
No, I mean, according to this movie, he's been killing a lot of people. He's like one of the top most wanted serial killers.
I guess on screen kill.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the problem but Halloween has this issue too, because in that first David Gordon Green Halloween, they're talking about how he's such a prolific serial killer. He's like, well, if you're just going by the first movie, he's killed like 5 people.
Which is a lot.
That's still more than most, by the way. That is still a lot.
No, it is, but you could also say he wasn't even a serial killer because it was all like...
It was a spree killer. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, any death is awful. I'm not trying to say like, well, he's not,
No, but even just by killer standards, over 3 is serial, but they have to be sequential.
Yeah, I just don't know that podcasters and stuff, unless they were just running out of ideas, would be like, oh, we got to talk about Michael Myers now. I don't know.
I mean, it would make last podcast on the left for sure. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get us off on this, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
and
no
the
worries.
Halloween setting and all that stuff probably was
Yeah. But no, you're right though, because like they have to be including some of part 2. But Todd, it's not that this starts immediately after the first movie. It's that it is still the same time as if it is 8 movies later, but they are disregarding any of the information in those 8 movies.
Okay.
So in their mind, like, he is a child that has risen from the lake, then he does kill people, but not in any of the stories we've seen. It's just been happening off screen, and the only information they're using is the stuff from that first, basically, and a little bit of the second movie. They're completely disregarding the girl that killed him with her psychic mind.
Yes.
They're completely disregarding the trip to Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
So originally, in one of the original scripts, Steven was supposed to be Tommy Jarvis, but Tommy Jarvis was owned by Paramount, so they didn't have the rights to it. But that's part of why they have to disregard everything, because it's a new studio.
They couldn't even call it Friday the 13th. That's why it's called Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
The Final Friday.
Yeah.
Which Chris Tucker had something to say about shortly after this.
But all the New Line ones are Jason something. They're not Friday the 13th because they didn't have the rights to the title.
That's why it's Jason X after this.
Yeah, Jason versus Freddy, or Freddy versus Jason.
Freddy versus Jason, yeah. Yeah, so that's what I mean by like they're disregarding those movies because they can't really refer back to them at all. In fact, they even kind of spell Voorhees different in just a second. But so he tells him all this information about how Jason jumps bodies and he needs a new body and they keep getting rid of his body. And the only people that can kill him are a Voorhees. We don't know why. It's never explained. Maybe Pamela was a witch. Who's to say?
It's not just that a Voorhees has to kill him. It's also that a Voorhees can rebirth him.
Right.
And man, do I hate what happens with that bit of information.
Unless it's an Evil Dead movie, in which case it's par for the course.
Sure, yeah.
You know, that seems like exactly something that would happen in an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now he's like, she's got to kill him or the baby, or he could use the baby. It's very vague, but okay. So he calls to say that he broke his fingers and he's got to leave. But he uses that information to basically give the guard a concussion, switch places with him, get his gun and his keys, and escape.
Which is literally the most insane thing when you aren't the killer. You know that the killer's not dead and is like going to be killing other people. Like, you know for sure the killer's going to kill again tonight, so you'll be fine. You then commit a shitload of terrible crimes to get out of jail. And this guy was like sympathetic to him earlier. He was like, I know you didn't do it. I'm going to talk to the chief. We'll straighten this out by morning. I'd have waited my happy ass until morning.
Or at least told the guy, told his friend what was going on.
Called him over and been like, yeah, this guy broke my fingers, but they're fine. And gave me some of this information that I can share with you to get me out.
Yeah, and like our good friend is going to be, is going to be in trouble and could get killed. I mean, so.
Yeah.
But no, he does the dumbest thing imaginable in this moment.
Well, he does a Terminator. He does a Kyle Reese.
Well, he does a Kyle Reese, but Jason does a Terminator. But it's Jason as, it's Stephen Culp Jason. When he comes in and literally kills the whole police station, he does the Terminator version of it.
Yes. But because what happens right now is he gets out, we cut.
God, that is Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fully
100%.
Terminator.
Wow.
So this guy, Steven, gets out. We cut to the diner where Vicky has got the baby and she's like, I'm just going to put her in a box. She'll definitely stay there and not move at all. Not like babies ever do.
They had to shoot that baby out in 45 minutes.
This movie is every movie except Friday the 13th. That's interesting.
Yes.
That is the pull quote right there. The movie that wants to be every movie except for a Friday the 13th movie.
That's what's up.
Fuck. Put that on the poster.
But so they put the baby back, but they're like gearing up because they just got a call that Steven escaped. So everyone is armed, including Leslie Jordan, who we find out his name is Pookie.
Aw, Pookie.
Aw, Pookie. But then we cut to Steven, and Steven has gone to the Voorhees house to try and get proof to Jessica that she is a Voorhees and that she needs to kill Jason. But again, the movie doesn't tell us how she has to kill Jason, just that she has to. So up until we see the knife later, we assume it's just kill, period. Mm-hmm. Which is why at one point in my notes, I just have, give the baby a gun! Because ostensibly the baby's there and Jason's there and everybody's there.
I mean, Todd and I are in Middle Tennessee, man. Babies know how to shoot here, so.
You got to watch out.
Maggie shot Mr. Burns. So,
exactly.
it could work.
That's why Aerosmith wrote that song, That Baby's Got a Gun.
Anyway, so as he's going around the Voorhees house, this is where we see the Necronomicon from Evil Dead on the table.
Yeah.
And he even opens it. So it's like, it is fully the Necronomicon. He shuts it. He keeps walking. He ends up hiding in a closet that does kind of fall through into the basement. We will find out that that's where Diane's body is.
Because it falls through the same hole he was hiding. Like he was trying to keep himself from falling through.
Yep.
It was an insane scene. Like somebody body dumps while he's in the hole they body dumped through, and the body just goes past him. Mm-hmm. I love this movie.
This is where our Robert Stack analog from Case File America shows up, and he's like, Yeah. No, I'm definitely dating her because of the weird story. And I stole her mom's body from the morgue, and then I totally banged it out, smell my fingers through the phone.
It would make the most sense for the nationwide news anchor to not know anybody in this story and just to be here for the story of it all. But no, he's also banging it with the main character's love interest.
Yeah, and that phone call is like something that would have come up like years later when he was like running for president or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you're doing true crime, they just let you do it. He's a monster, Jonathan. He's a monster.
I hate it. I was picturing this as being him using her to get the story. Like he was always already trying to get the story, and that's the whole reason he's dating the daughter, because he's found out she's a Voorhees and he wants to use it to his advantage and then hump her and dump her. Like that is what's going to happen.
You forgot the pump. It's hump, pump, and dump. Sorry.
Anyway, so who should show up but Josh, a.k.a. Jason and Josh's body.
Right.
So he and Robert Stack make out. And then the Robert Stack analog for a hot moment is just kind of bloody and hot as hell. But he gets a little dead ID and then it gets bad.
Yeah, but when he's just like Terminator looking, like they're shooting him low and he's like broad chesting it.
Yeah.
You were into it, Paige. I get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've got a splattering of blood on your face and wide shoulders, let's go. But meanwhile, Josh's body is melting like the melting man in Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
And like his jaw gets stuck on the floor. Like they definitely blew most of their effects budget on these shots alone.
But it is cool. Like some of the effects in this movie, even though I'll say are a little derivative of like The Thing and a few other properties, they are pretty good effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's early 90s horror. I mean, it's fun, yeah.
Yeah.
The CGI, the spirit stuff and whatnot's not like the floating lights. That's not good.
No, that would have looked great in 1983, but not 1993.
Yeah.
I don't know that ever would have looked good. I don't know
Fair.
if there's any time of any century you would be like, yeah, that's great.
We cut to her daughter, Jessica, in what I assume is the hotel, and she has just left her baby with the diner people. And she goes to take a shower, but the lights go out. She puts a shirt on. She goes looking for like who has turned the lights off. And it is magically Robert, the guy from Case File, trying to kill her. But who should show up?
Right.
Steven pulling an alien where he basically is like, get away from her. And if he had just added you bitch, that would have been aliens.
Yeah.
But they get in the car, and this is where he has his Kyle Reese moment where he's like, they'll never stop. They'll never ever stop. They'll kill you. Like he literally, and she's like, and then they run over Robert.
Yeah.
And then she pulls him over, kicks him out along the road, drives to the police station, is like, I kicked him out of the car. He definitely tried to kill Robert. And they're like, don't worry, we'll go find him. But as they like send the deputy out, he and Steven have like a shootout, but then he's like, wait, she's at the police station, take me there. Meanwhile, Robert shows up at the police station to pull a Terminator.
Yeah.
And just kill as many cops as possible.
That really is Kyle Reese, because like in the timeline of this movie, Steven's been involved in all this for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's talking like he's been tracking Jason down for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Like he knows everything.
Yes.
He paid the price, man. That dude cracked his knuckles.
He should still be like in that shock moment. Like he should still be like just in like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, you know?
I'm in the army under John Connor. Like that's what he's doing.
But you're right. The way at which, or I guess the swiftness at which he accepts Jason Voorhees is not a person. It is a demon-like entity that can be made out with into someone else's body.
Right.
And then that person becomes Jason Voorhees. He's on board for that premise way too fast.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
because it's an 89-minute movie and there's only like 5 minutes left at this point. We got to
Right.
get like all this story in.
I know.
All of it.
It's like insane.
But so he's literally bashing heads. Like everything is wild. And then Duke slaps that deputy so that he can get keys and he can get out. We cut to the diner where they go to grab the baby in the back, but there's a note instead that basically says, come to the Voorhees house alone.
I have to bring this up. I'm sorry to stop you. Steven finds the note. He opens it. We see what the note says. We then hear like a whisper from far away, Duke reading the note. And then he turns and looks over his shoulder as if to hear the whisper and sees the machete. My question is, did that machete whisper that note to him? Like, did he actually hear a whisper in that moment? And when he looked at that machete, was he like, was that the machete asking to, I'll bring you machete.
Yeah.
It's such a strange choice.
Me.
It's so weird.
Every choice in this movie is strange.
I know, but it's such a weird choice to show me a note I can read, right?
Right.
And then have someone read it for me, but then have the character react like hearing someone read the note for them freaked them out in the scene. Like, that is insane.
But Todd, that's not even this scene.
What?
You're talking about a scene 15 minutes from now, because they get there, they see that the baby's not there. They have a full-on shootout. They deep fry Leslie.
Right.
Yeah.
They deep fry Leslie Jordan's head.
I forgot.
They shoot all the other people. It's mayhem, melee. They shoot Robert Stack analog 50 million times.
Yeah, he's wearing the most squibs in this movie.
Yeah, and at this point, we saw that the baby wasn't there, but we haven't read the note yet. And so I was like, wherever that baby is, give it a gun. That's when I was like, let the baby shoot.
Paige, you just made it clear that you can never run for president. Give the baby a
I was
gun.
like,
Let the
give
baby
the baby
shoot.
a gun.
You know
Look,
you know Paige Wesley's famous gun policy? Give the baby a gun. Let the baby shoot.
Let the baby shoot.
You say she can't run. I think she could win on that alone.
She'd win this state, Jonathan. You're right about that.
Yeah, you would. Living here my whole life, I'm well aware.
I wouldn't win my home state, though, and that'd be a bummer. But, like,
You'd get Temecula for sure.
I'd get Temecula. That plus my last 2 weeks of being like, more blood and titties. They're like, I don't know that we can elect her. She's like Lady President Camacho.
By the way, people have been asking for a more titties and blood shirt, and design it, nerds. Let's do this. I'm
Only
so
crop
busy.
tops.
I don't have time to design it.
Only crop tops.
But if we get a good design, we can make that happen.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Anyway, give the baby a gun.
Also, coming to a store near you, give the baby a gun presidential campaign t-shirts with Paige running for president.
Just little baby gun holsters. Anyway.
Oh, they're so cute.
So cute. Everyone in the diner ends up dead except for, like, including Vicky, but except for Steven and Jessica, who runs because we will find out she read the note and she went to go meet him alone. So Steven reads the note, gets the machete whispers, and then he heads to the Voorhees house.
Yes.
And at this point, I had to question, how did Duke beat them to the Voorhees home?
Oh, you mean because we left him still in jail, Paige?
So he does get out of jail, but that means
Yeah, he did get out of jail.
Oh, that's right.
But they went directly from jail to the diner. He had somehow beaten them from the diner with no one noticing and left a note and took the baby and got to the Voorhees house. How?
I mean, I don't even know how he knew the baby was at the diner.
He has no way to know. Steven didn't even know. It's impossible. Maybe he's a supernatural
I was
being.
gonna
Maybe
say,
he
Paige,
is Billy Zane from Demon Knight. Maybe this is an Evil Dead movie. Fuck.
What if he's an angel? Think about it. I'm done thinking about it. He's an angel. I'm not. That's my headcanon from now on.
I'm just picturing him doing the Meg Ryan in City of Angels. The, like, on the bike with the arms outstretched coming towards a giant truck.
Paige, I cannot talk. I cannot shout any more about that scene specifically. I think she may have done it on purpose.
I mean, if you had to be with Nicolas Cage forever.
Exactly.
God, I have not seen that movie since the theater. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. It's been so long.
Oh, wow.
Do yourself a favor. Rewatch it.
Meg Ryan at the end of City of Angels decides to ride her bike into an 18-wheeled truck to death.
I do not remember this. No, that's awesome. I gotta watch this.
Oh, yeah.
I saw this in the theater, didn't really
it's
like it, and I've never
crazy.
watched it again. I had the soundtrack, though.
You're not missing much.
No.
Anyway, so Jessica gets there. Duke is like, you're a Voorhees, baby a Voorhees. We got to kill a Voorhees. Here's a fancy knife. I'm going to throw it at you. And then she catches it and it goes full Excalibur. And then you look at the handle and it's a spine like every weapon we see in Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's an Evil Dead movie.
Paige, no, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I lost my mind a little bit when he throws a knife, she catches it, and it becomes a knife from like every D&D fantasy I've ever had.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I did to deserve that reveal, but I appreciated it.
Yeah, but I mean, it looks like something that belongs in Army of Darkness. Like, Duke should be like, grab her and be like, give me some sugar. Like, that's what it feels like it should be.
If Duke had a little more Bruce Campbell-ish energy, I could have stood it. But I mean, I think Duke is his very own sort of character and vibe, and I'm into it.
Can I tell you? So I'm working on episode 2 of the show that I'm working on, and I have a character that I'm like, please hire Bruce Campbell for this.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, can we send it to him? Does he want to be in it? It would be amazing. But it's an old sheriff.
You're working on a show that's being produced?
No, I wish. I'm working on trying to sell a show, but I'm doing okay at it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
But people asked to see episode 2, so now I have to write episode 2.
Thank you for the interest, but God damn it for making me write it.
Wasn't the pitch deck enough? Damn it. Anyway, so the deputy and the sheriff show up, and he's like, Jason could have jumped to anyone. It could be either one of these. And so she just full on stabs the sheriff.
Okay, no. Hang on.
That's amazing.
No, she did not stab the sheriff. The sheriff
But she
walks
did not
into the
shoot
knife.
the deputy.
No,
Yeah.
how dare you? The sheriff walks into the blade.
Well, yeah, because he's like, you won't do it. And she's just like, the fuck I will. Like, we got deadites to murder, sir.
Yeah.
So, but then the deputy tries to make out with her baby.
Okay. Unfortunately, that is a fact in this movie.
That is what happens in the film.
I don't love it, but I do know it's just because that's how Jason gets inside you. I hate that I just said that.
He's got to warm you up first.
This is a super dark movie. The more like it's like darker. I mean, it's obviously it's a Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I mean, it's a horror movie, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, that is what happens on the screen.
Yeah.
My job is to narrate, and that's what happened on the screen. He tried to make out with her baby. So, like, yeah, stab him. Duh. Anyway, she tries to stab him, but Steven bursts in and kind of interrupts it. So they only end up kind of like slashing his neck.
Right.
And we find out that you need to like stab him in the heart.
Yeah, you have to kill the heart.
Yeah, which would have been good advice.
Hey, Duke did say that. You have to destroy the heart. That was one of the things he paid a price for that information from Duke.
That's true. This is when that's right. Okay.
And truly it's Steven that gets him in the neck with the machete.
I watched this less than 24 hours ago, and
I watched this only a few minutes ago, technically.
I literally just finished it before we started recording, and I'm shocked I remember any of it, Jonathan.
Yeah. What I do remember is that in this scene, when his neck is open and he looks like a Twilight vampire, his skin goes all marble.
Yes.
Out from his neck seems to be a bunch of fried calamari, but then the heart crawls out facehugger style.
Yeah, gremlin heart. I called it gremlin heart because it does have a face and hands and legs. And I was like, what the fuck kind of heart is that?
And fangs, because it like peeks around a table leg and it's like, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? What is happening?
I want someone to recreate the raptor kitchen scene from Jurassic Park, but use this character model.
Also, same year.
Yeah, same year.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because this came out, I think, in August, and Jurassic Park was June. Yeah.
It's crazy Jurassic Park can't even look this good.
Right? This is summer of 93.
Yeah, Steven Seagal or whatever. Stallone?
Yeah, Steven Seagal.
What's his name? Steven Spielberg. That's the
Steven
one.
Spielberg, yes.
I knew it was an SS name. Himmler? Can we move on, Paige? If I keep going deeper, it's going to get darker. I'm like a YouTube algorithm.
I can't help you now. Anyway, so the facehugger crawls off, and they're like, okay, now that freaky thing is gone, we got to figure out what to do. And they realize that the mom's body's in the basement, and they're like, wait, to be reborn, does it need to be in a live Voorhees? And they're like, no, that seems like an important piece of information that we did not share. And then, spoiler, it crawls up her hoo-ha.
Mm-hmm.
Paige, when he asked the question, wait, does it have to be a Voorhees to be reborn? Like, do they have to be alive? I thought to myself, surely not. And then it cuts to Gremlin Heart getting sucked up the snatch of the dead mother, guys. And then immediately a fully clothed, masked Jason pops up out of the floor, fully reborn.
Paige, did you read something about Aaron Gray didn't know that until she watched the movie?
Yeah.
Okay,
she was not in that scene. It was basically a dummy.
And then she's at the premiere or whatever, and it's like, oh.
I actually have a fun fact about the dummy they used for that. It was the same dummy as the original Wicked Witch of the East from Wizard of Oz. It was just the legs that are sticking out from under the house. And what you don't see in that movie is Jason's heart actually did get sucked up into that snatch as well.
Yeah, it's like a weird heart slug with teeth. And again, by this point in the movie, because I'd already seen the Necronomicon and the knife and the blood and all of it, I was like, oh, because this is an Evil Dead movie, surely the heart slug with teeth is going to crawl into an orifice and embody this woman. But I thought we were going to get like a Deadite version of her, not fully clothed Jason, because where'd he get those clothes? Like, why are the rules suddenly different from her body?
Guys, clearly he got them from her uterus. No, none of it makes sense. Like, it's insane, Paige. I also, when the gremlin heart was no longer on the screen, I'll say it that way, and we saw Jason, I realized we weren't going to see the gremlin heart again, and I felt very sad because I knew I then wouldn't get a gremlin heart salacious crumb laugh, and I really wanted it. I
just know when you get Jason in his form, though, it's like, it's so exciting, like something is finally happening. I kind of wanted him to win at that point. I'm like, I don't like any of these people. And I'm totally fine with Jason just winning.
When Kane Hodder jumps on that trampoline onto that second story set they're on, and then starts to fight them, I did want him to kill them all.
Well, and it almost feels like a hero. It feels like a protagonist. It feels like Popeye ate some spinach.
Right.
It doesn't feel like a villain moment. It feels like a Rocky moment or something.
Yeah,
you're like oh, hell yeah, Adrian!
Wait, that's the killer. That's the serial killer. I forgot for a second because all these other people suck.
But if you change the music in that scene when he pops up there and just like bump, 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 bump,
exactly,
bump, 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 and just stabbing people to the beat, I'd be here for it. It'd be the shit.
It's like the end of Halloween Kills, like, you know, when Michael Myers starts coming back and beating all the people up that are beating him up. It's like, you almost for a second, you forget that he's the villain.
Evil dies tonight!
You're so attuned to like that being like a hero moment, like, you know, the crane kick or something. Like that's what it feels like.
Oh, crane kick.
Yeah.
I will say, Todd, to go back to your Salacious Crumb moment, you know where you would have gotten that? An Evil Dead movie. It would have been a mounted deer on the wall.
Here for it.
You would have had it. But instead, we get a weird Captain America coming out of a pod moment for Jason. He pops up and they spend conservatively 5 minutes trying to oh no, he's coming, trying to reach the knife that is like fallen through these floorboards. And he's like coming and they look up, still coming and they look up. He's in the same room. It's like 2 strides away until finally Steven's like, all right, I got to machete this guy to distract him so she can get the knife because I can't hold the baby, I guess. So he distracts him. They go outside. They're fighting on the lawn. She sets the baby down and is like, don't move. Okay, bye. Then she gets the knife. She comes back outside as he's throwing Steven through. And this is not a joke. This is a real fun fact. The jungle gym from the Birds.
Wait, it's the same one from the Birds? Are you serious?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I thought it was insane that they were having this, what is clearly the final fight on a children's playground. I thought at some point we were in danger of one of them getting on one of those spring horses and riding it for a second.
But isn't it the backyard?
Yeah, it's the backyard. But yeah, it is the actual jungle gym from the Birds. There are a couple other props from other things around. I will cover them in fun facts.
Okay, cool.
So she makes it out there. She stabs him in the heart and he starts shooting flare guns up into heaven or hell. It's unclear. And then she ends up kicking the knife further in and hands come up from the ground to drag him to the hell. And they almost drag Steve, but she pulls Steve out to save him. They pull Jason down. He's like tractor beamed into the earth. The only thing left is the mask, which the wind blows over and a dog comes over to sniff the mask. And then Freddy reaches up and drags the mask under.
And we hear him laugh. And that's the movie. So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what'd you guys think about Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday?
Oof magoof.
Yeah.
I do love that there's like a full snake and like a stainless steel mask or chrome mask on the cover. And none of that comes into this at all. Unless you think the making out and Frenching is a snake.
Okay, I could see that.
Like I said, I was excited about this in my teenage years because I was reading about it. It made it seem like it was going to be so cool. And I've never felt like more stupid watching a movie thinking, oh, That's why. Like, I was actually shocked. Like the 9th movie in a franchise, which nowadays actually, like, you know, people are shocked when the 9th movie isn't good. But like back then, you know, like that wasn't really a thing. So yeah, no, this movie's terrible. I think under certain settings it could be fun, like we've said, watching with an audience or whatever. But it's like so amateurish. Like it is the behind the scenes. The actors are fine. I mean, they're doing what they can with the material they're given. I'm not blaming them, but the writing's bad, the directing's bad. I don't know who came in and did the reshoots, but
I'll tell you in just a bit.
Was it Steven Spielberg?
No, it was Steven Seagal. Or Steven whatever.
I like you didn't even say his last name right. You said Steven Seagal. Like,
that's how you pronounce that name.
He's been lying to us for years.
Oh, that actually sounds familiar now that you say that. Yeah. Siegel to me just is like Siegel, or like I think of Joel Siegel. So
yeah, like someone who spells it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the acting performances save it for me. Like I do think the script is sort of bonkers bad, like bad in a I think unintentionally fun way. But the acting performances, especially from like Duke and Leslie Jordan and like a few other characters, really sell their parts. And I love that about it. But it's just a very campy, silly movie that I sort of enjoyed watching. I'll probably watch this one more than most of the other Friday the 13th. Because it's just like silly, bad fun.
No, I like that aspect of it. It just, you know, I just don't think I find it as fun as you do. But I get it.
How can you not love the final shot with the family couple as they walk away into the sunset without their baby, guys? Their baby is not in that final shot with them. How do you not include a stroller? You don't even have to shoot the baby. Like, what?
But, you know, Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, you know, Mikey's claim that was the best movie of the 80s. That's a super weird one. And I think that one's a lot more fun than this one.
Yeah. But this movie doesn't take place in the 80s, baby, so it wasn't in the running.
I don't think this movie takes place in an actual year that has ever existed in the history of America.
No.
But and it has a pretty rabid following now. Like just like a lot of 90s movies have kind of gained followings, but there's a lot of Friday the 13th fans that say this is one of their favorites. So I know that happens. So
I could see that. I bet those people are my kind of people.
I think just this franchise in general, like if you're really into this franchise, it makes total sense that everybody has a different favorite.
Yeah. Because the different types of movies within this franchise, like they're so it's crazy how different some of them are, you know?
And I mean, it's weird to say that like I'm knocking it because it's poorly directed, but being the worst directed movie in this franchise is a lot.
That says a lot.
Honestly, I'm proud of him for getting there though. Like it was probably minutes of work to become the worst director in the Friday the 13th franchise.
I just can't believe no one said, hey, you should look at the dailies, guys. They should just go check them out.
Apparently one producer did, but like that one producer doing it isn't enough to fix it.
No.
I think for me, 6 is probably still my favorite in the franchise.
It's mine, yeah.
6 is a really fun one because that's the last time we get Tommy Jarvis and like classic Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah.
I do think if it was Tommy Jarvis in this one, that would have made it cooler. I think I would watch this a lot more if someone does a fan cut and just intercuts this with some Evil Dead footage and truly makes it an Evil Dead movie, then I'm on board. As the card-carrying Evil Dead fan on the show, then I'm here for it.
I like your theory that it was an Evil Dead script or like a ripoff of an Evil Dead movie. Yeah. Maybe that even would make more sense. Kind of like, you know, the later Hellraiser movies, they were just taking like weird detective scripts and like putting Pinhead in there.
Oh, wait, those things aren't meticulously written to provide good entertainment?
Not once the Weinsteins got a hold of them.
Shocked but to hear that.
Todd, the ones that you've seen were.
Yeah. It's after it's once Miramax got a hold of them.
Yeah, it's the later ones. It's
or
which
Dimension.
I can't wait till we get to them because they are fucking nuts.
Paige, I'm going to be honest with you. I can wait.
Well, you're not going to wait too long. We got a sequel month coming up, so.
Boo. All right. Well, Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts.
Tons of fun facts. Now, we went through a lot of these, so I'm not going to do all of them. And again, anytime there's a movie from this franchise, there's a million fun facts because these have been very well documented.
Yes.
So
20-hour Crystal Lake Memories documentary that you can watch.
Yep. Just to give a little more context to something I kind of talked about in the episode, at around 1 hour and 18 minutes into the film, so almost the end, Duke handcuffs himself to Jason and a piece of furniture, and he says, "You son of a bitch, you remember me?" And then Jason lifts him up and breaks his back. And in the film, it sounds nonsensical, but in the audio commentary on the DVD and Blu-ray, they revealed that the script at one point had a flashback where Jason killed Duke's girlfriend while they were canoeing at Camp Crystal Lake, dragging her down into the lake.
Wow.
This led to his career in the police force and dedicating his life to hunting down Jason for revenge, and it was ultimately cut from the film.
Because why would we want that story?
Yeah.
Also, 1 hour and 18 minutes into the movie is right after they leave the morgue at the beginning. So
Yeah, basically. I mentioned the comic book, allegedly, that bridged the gap between part 8 and this one, but the producer, Sean S. Cunningham, and the director, Adam Marcus, have specifically said that they made Jason Goes to Hell as a follow-up to only the original Friday the 13th and mostly, and keyword there being mostly, ignored everything from part 2 to part 8.
Wow.
But again, they would have had to include some part 2 because, you know.
Because Jason's the killer and not his mom?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Kane Hodder had been burned in a stunt just a couple years prior to making this movie because there was a gap between this one and the last one.
Yeah.
And so he actually has some burning and scarring on his neck. And so one day after filming, he was taking the makeup off and there was a child of one of the crew members on set who saw him and got really freaked out by his actual skin. And according to the crew member, Kane Hodder picked up the kid, hugged him and told him that it's okay and that some people's body look different and there's nothing to be afraid of and let him like touch the skin. So apparently he's a really cool guy and left me a very cool cameo. So thank you, Kane Hodder.
That's cool.
And that kid said, God, that guy's got an ego. He is just...
His autobiography is like all about him.
I love how you called him famous narcissist earlier as a reference to the famous egotist. Thank you. Yeah. As a reference to Paige. Yeah, so funny.
That's fine. Jason's heart was used in From Dusk Till Dawn, a movie we have also done on this podcast.
Nice.
I'm sorry, that same prop?
Yes, that same prop.
What?
Yes.
Was used as what?
Monkey Man's heart in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Huh.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Also, in the basement of the Voorhees home, we get a shot of a crate listed as the Arctic Expedition. This is actually a crate, an actual prop from Creepshow that we did on this show as well.
Yes, okay.
So there you go. I mentioned that Stephen Williams only agreed to play Creighton Duke if he could dress as a cowboy. Yes? Okay.
Yes, you did.
All right. Okay. So the only person that watched the dailies on the 28-day shoot, which is an extremely short shoot as well, was the editor, David Handman. Everyone else, according to him, were too focused on moving on to the next shot, meaning that no one was viewing them to make sure that they got coverage and got what was usable, and a lot of it wasn't. According to a lot of the crew, Adam Marcus made tons of first-time director mistakes. For example, he originally had an 8-minute sequence in nonstop slow motion.
What?
So the Diner Massacre was originally 8 minutes long and all in slow motion.
Good God.
Yes. The conversation scenes dragged on incredibly long, and they were only able to salvage somewhere between 43 and 50 minutes of his original work.
Wow.
So over 40 minutes, potentially as much as 50, came from reshoots and repurposed footage. During this process, some storylines were completely dropped. So the story about her, Diana, and the sheriff being engaged and planning their honeymoon, completely gone. While they had to add things with creative editing. So apparently, initially, Carrie Keegan and Stephen Culp's characters were not a couple. So, and that's the daughter Jessica, and Stephen Culp is the guy from Case File. And so they basically explained it away with that phone call, and then with adding in her additional phone call that she's seeing someone else and then cut away to him. So that's how they kind of implied it. But originally that was not really in the script.
Interesting.
They also compressed some scenes, including Duke explaining the rules. But even at that point, Sean S. Cunningham, who's the producer, still thought the film was super embarrassing. And he basically had confronted Adam about it, Adam Marcus, the director. And Adam said, the last thing fans want to see is just Jason going through Camp Crystal Lake and chopping up teenagers again. Unfortunately, that's the only thing they wanted to see. And it was not good. Now, part of the reason Adam Marcus had gotten the job at all is because Adam Marcus was a big fan of the series, allegedly, and had been passed over to direct My Boyfriend's Back, which came out the same year. Because he had lack of experience. My Boyfriend's Back is also something we should probably watch on this show at some point, or maybe Romancing the Pod, to be honest with you. because it's basically a boyfriend dies and then comes back as a zombie. We'll do it at the same time we do Lisa Frankenstein. It'll be great.
Cunningham produced that, right?
Yeah. The casting director only was the casting director for the original Friday the 13th and only agreed to come back on because it gave him a reason to move back to Los Angeles to be with his dying mother.
Oh.
So the original draft of the screenplay for this movie was written by a Magnum PI staff writer, Jay Hughley.
That checks out.
Wait, is that why he shaves the mustache?
Oh, hilarious.
Guys.
I have no idea.
Oh my God.
You know what this movie could have used, though, is Tom Selleck.
He hated Tom Selleck that much.
I don't think so, because this draft gets largely rewritten, and he had been off Magnum PI for a while, but that was his main credit. So this is after they had scrapped the Jason Goes to LA idea. So in his version, Jason has a twin brother named Elias that we have never seen up until this point that is going to magically appear in this movie, much like the sister.
That was his father's name, too, at one point, right?
Yeah, but we never really meet his father.
No, we don't. I think that was left out. It was like part 6 or something. I think it's in like the novelization, but I think his name was Elias.
Yeah, and so Elias takes over Jason's powers and continues his killing spree. But according to the producer, that draft was unintelligible and, quote, a hodgepodge of a script, and they were coming up on a deadline, and New Line wanted to see the finished script within a couple days, or else they were going to cancel the project, and it had already been in pre-production for a long time. So he recruited Dean Lorey, who wrote My Boyfriend's Back, because they had just worked together. And he sat with him in a room for 4 days, and I assume a mountain of cocaine, and he wouldn't let him leave until they had a script they could film. So they threw out most of the original script, and then Dean Lorey stayed on to kind of provide rewrites as they went. But they also hired Louis Abernathy, who wrote Deep Star 6,
oh, nice.
and Leslie Boehm, who wrote Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Child, which is arguably not one of the worst Nightmare on Elm Streets.
No. Deep Star 6 isn't terrible either, actually.
No.
It's serviceable.
Yes, it is serviceable. They performed uncredited rewrites. So they're not credited anywhere in the script, but they did do some rewrites on it. Including Abernathy in particular, who wrote Deep Star 6, did the entire opening sequence. And Boehm did a last minute polish over a weekend over the entire script. So she basically did, or Leslie Boehm basically did punch up. Boehm would also later write Daylight and Dante's Peak and asked specifically that his name not be attached. So in the closing credits, he's simply listed as executive typist.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's how he got around still having a credit on this movie, but not having to Alan Smithy it, which is where you completely take your credit off and you don't really get paid for some stuff depending on how you contracted it. So yeah, executive typist, which I thought was really funny. Now, according to Dean Lorey, when asked about this movie, he says that his biggest mistakes were writing a baby into the story and Creighton Duke's sudden appearance despite never having been mentioned in the last 8 films, and his rules to kill Jason. So yeah, I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
We'll end on this one. In extended interviews in Crystal Lake Memories, the complete history of Friday the 13th, if you want to know more, go watch that. Noel Cunningham said that the original rough cut of Jason Goes to Hell was over 130 minutes long and had to be heavily re-edited to be paced under 90 minutes.
I'm sure it's a trash fire, but I badly want to see that cut.
Oh, I would watch that cut in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it probably makes slightly more sense. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, where he doesn't at all go to hell and it's probably not even a Friday?
93. I bet it was like 8 million.
Okay.
I'm going to go a little higher and say 15.
Okay. Guys, the budget was $3 million.
Oh,
If
wow.
you
It looks
adjust
like
that for
it.
inflation, that is $6.5 million. So it's
So they spent less on that than some of the other sequels that had already been made, because some of those were definitely more than that.
probably. They spend even less time in the location mentioned in the title than they did the last one. So I'm sure it was cheaper. Okay. Now, this movie premiered on August 13th. Can you guess what day of the week that was, guys? 1993.
Wednesday.
Nailed it. Got it in one. No, it was probably Friday. I honestly didn't look it up, and I'm not going
sure,
to,
yeah.
but I'm going to assume it's a Friday. It was number 2 the weekend it came out. It got beat by a movie called The Fugitive.
Oh, never heard of it.
That was like week 2, I think, right?
Yes, The Fugitive was in its second week and still beat the premiering Jason Goes to Hell.
I think I made a Fugitive reference earlier in this episode.
You did, Paige.
93 was a really good year, except for Jason Goes to Hell.
Guys, number 3 was Rising Sun. Number 4 was The Secret Garden. Number 5 was In the Line of Fire. Also in theaters, Jurassic Park, Free Willy, The Firm, Robin Hood Men in Tights, Hocus Pocus.
Banger year.
So many bangers. So yeah, like a lot. 93 was a great year for movies. And I hope you saw some. Because we didn't today, but I loved it. I really did sort of love it, but I get it's not a great movie. You're not wrong. Now, I don't have like a full how long this movie was in theaters because it was so long ago. It doesn't have all of that, but I do have like how much it made total. And that was, I'll just tell you, the domestic total was $15.9 million.
Oh, I was going to say 17.
That's close. That's close. They approximate that about 3.8 million people actually went to go see it. But 15.9 makes it a little bit better than Jason Takes Manhattan and Jason X. But
interesting.
It's like third to last in the franchise.
Oh, yeah. Jason X, I think, is the first one that actually loses money, if I remember correctly.
Which is too bad because Jason X has one of the coolest kills of the entire franchise.
That was Clint's favorite kill, too.
True.
You're talking about the deep freeze smash?
Yeah. It's one of Mikey's favorites as well.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people's favorites. But if you adjust that $15.9 million to today's dollars, that puts it at $34.6 million. It definitely made money.
That puts it at 18.
Yeah, it definitely made money.
Yeah.
But maybe didn't do as well as its previous ones. Although it technically did better than Takes Manhattan because, you know, we all saw that.
It might have made more than Hocus Pocus, though, because that movie was a bomb.
It was.
It did. It got a huge cult following after.
Yeah, it's huge. The kids around that time, but they released it in the summer. I never understood why they released it in the summer.
Yeah.
In case you're wondering, since Jonathan threw the gauntlet down, Hocus Pocus brought in $50 million, so it did better.
That had to have been worldwide.
It was worldwide, but 49 million of that was domestically.
Really?
Which is still more than a Jason, which was at 15.9.
That actually doesn't surprise me with Hocus Pocus because it's a
Disney movie.
Not just a Disney movie, but it's central to a specifically American place, time, and holiday.
Yeah.
Maybe the budget was just really high. Maybe that's why it was a bomb. I just thought it didn't make that much money because I know
budget was $28 million. It was way more than this.
Yeah,
but it still made money. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Anyway, that's your box office. Paige, you want to hit us with that scary scale?
Our scary scale is a scale of 1 to 10 of how scary we found the movie today. 1 being Ghostbusters, 10 being Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Todd?
I'm going to give it a very soft 2 for the ripped in half through the tent pole kill.
Okay. And Jonathan?
Yeah, I'd say, it's not a 1. I mean, there's not like a lot of suspense in this, but I mean, I think it's still, there's just an inherent creepiness and somebody stalking the woods and trying to kill you. So I would say 2.
And it's pretty gory.
It is. I mean, gore doesn't really scare me. It just kind of grosses me out. So I don't know. I think you guys are crazy. I think Ghostbusters is probably like a 4, but especially when I was like 8 years old.
I mean, but it's when we watched it today. I'd give this a 1 personally.
Yeah, that's fair.
But mainly because I was too busy trying to figure out if they were Deadites and creating my own lore.
Yeah.
There's definitely scarier. I don't think any Friday the 13th movie is particularly scary, but there are much scarier ones than this one.
Agreed.
So
I would say Never Hike Alone is probably one of the scariest Friday the 13th movies, oddly enough.
I have seen that one. I haven't seen the second one, but I've seen the first one. I had a good time with it for what it was.
But that's your scary scale.
So, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us yet again for another amazing Friday the 13th special.
Thank you for having me. Even the worst of these, I have a fun time talking about them because they're so fucking crazy.
I know, right? It is great. But we really do appreciate you joining us every Friday the 13th.
It's awesome.
When we make you do it. So can you tell everyone where they can get more of the stuff that you do?
So I'm with CinemaSins, which is a YouTube channel. We have 3 channels, actually, CinemaSins, TV Sins, and Commercial Sins. We have a video Monday through Friday. We have a video on one of the channels every day. So if you just subscribe to those channels, you'll get a lot of content.
You guys put out an amazing amount of content.
I'm not on myself on podcast regularly, but we have a couple podcasts in our network.
Yeah.
One is called Recotopia, which is Chris Atkinson and Aaron Dicer right now, and they just it's a movie review podcast. They just pick a different movie every week and talk about it.
Yeah.
And then we also have a Star Trek podcast called Captain's Pod with Ian Whittington and Danae Hughes. And I guest on those occasionally. So I actually have to go edit Recotopia after I'm done here.
That was me when we recorded last night.
If you guys want to praise the editing in your reviews, I would appreciate it. I'm on Twitter at Sam Loomis 13. I'm on Letterboxd. I think it's the same. I think if you just look up Sam Loomis 13 or Jonathan Watkins, you'll find me. And that's pretty much the only places I know it's X. I'm not calling it that.
Yeah, me neither. I refuse.
But I am on there. I'm technically on Blue Sky too, but I haven't been on there in a minute. So
probably Sam Loomis 13 there though too, right?
No, I am. I'm definitely Sam Loomis 13 there. Yes, Sam Loomis 13 everywhere.
Yeah.
My social media name is a Halloween reference, and I'm on here doing Friday the 13th films. It makes sense. It really does. So
you know what? That just occurred to me because in my mind they're the same movies.
Yeah.
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 But anyway, thank you so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
So we do these so rarely that we do Friday the 13th movies that I don't remember if we do what are we doing next week? Because I don't know what we're doing next week at the time that we're recording this.
Yeah, no, we don't. Because it'll be in between two.
I know, and we will have told you on Monday's episode what we're doing next week. So listen to that one. So guys, if you like this show but want to hear Paige and I talk about romantic comedies or just regular romantic movies, check out our other podcast. Some might call it a sister podcast called Romancing the Pod, where we do just that weekly. It's a lot like this show, but for romance and romantic comedies because Paige doesn't like them. So we make her watch them, just like you guys make me watch horror over here. But if you want to follow me, I am at Todd J. Awesome on all the social media. Paige is at Rampage Wesley on Instagram?
Yes, and TikTok.
And just Paige Wesley on Twitter, because you got that before some CEO lady, and she wanted it, but you wouldn't give it back, and I respect you for that.
Refuse.
Also, Paige
Suck it, other Paige Wesley.
Paige is also on another podcast. It's great. You should check it out. It's called Cult Podcast with Armando Torres, who is a wonderful person. And if you want to support this show, go to Patreon at patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where there are a lot of great levels and a lot of great things. We do the Patreon shout outs at the beginning of every episode. We do listener requests, stuff like that, bonus episodes. So you'll be getting all of that content, plus episodes a day early with no ads, and who doesn't love that? So sign up for the Patreon and get a lot of great stuff.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it ooky spooky.
Have a great week.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
This was an Evil Dead movie nerd.